Condition orange. Condition orange. Situation Delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
We have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
Time comes when silence is betrayal.
More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. Think for yourself. Question authority.
This code has been compromised.
All right, we're back, Truth Seeker. It is Wednesday, September 18th, 2019. This is the Gematria Effect. I'm Zachary K. Hubbard. We're on every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. West Coast, 9 p.m. to midnight if you're on the East Coast. It's a big country. It's a big difference. Just before I got on the air, somebody sent me a text message. If you've ever sent me a message on the Gematria hotline and I didn't respond, I'm sorry. I get a lot of messages on that, and kind of the messages I catch are the ones that are usually just sitting right on top when I pick up my phone. When somebody said, can you look into the death of Jessica James? She was an adult film star, as they're called in the industry, and she's dead at age 43. What stands out about her death is she died September 17th, 2019, which was a date with a life lesson number of 38. 38. Very interesting number in this study of letters and numbers, which is Gematria, which comes from Kabbalah. And if you are new here, great starting point with this research is to listen to the song Murder by Numbers by the band The Police. It came out in 1983. It's about how killing is as simple as ABC 1, 2, 3. In this code of letters and numbers, murder equals 83. That song came out in the year 83. It's about how killing's the sport of the elite. It's the way to the top of your profession. It's a very descriptive song, Murder by Numbers, and they talk about how killing by this code is as simple as ABC 1, 2, 3, which is what Gematria is, counting letters, adding up the value of words. The word murder sums to 83. It also sums to 38. The words death, murder, killing, RIP, they all sum to 38 in this code. And this code is based on the alphabetic order forwards and backwards. Forwards, the word killing equals 38. In reverse, it sums to 43 when you use the reverse alphabetic order, meaning making Z1 counting backwards. But killing 38 and 43, we're talking about the death of a young woman at age 43 who died on a date with a life lesson number of 38 in numerology, and who also had a birthday of March 8th. 3-8 or 8-3. She was also born in the year 79. With the alphabetic order forwards, murder 79. With the reverse alphabetic order, it's 83. Look up the movie poster for Murder by Numbers. You'll see that only 2 letters are changed to numbers, the E to a 3 and the B to an 8. 3883, Murder by Numbers. And at the top of that film poster is the name Sandra Bullock, which happens to sum to 83, and not by accident. In suspicious deaths of young celebrities, this code is prominent as the rule, not the exception. And from this young woman's birthday to her death was 193 days later. That's an interesting number. 193 is the 44th prime number. Kill equals 44. Serial killer equals 193. 193, the 44th prime. I'm sure there's a whole lot more to it. I haven't even decoded her name, but I just got that message just before I jumped on the air. And looked at it as fast as I could, and I said, well, figures, same old, same old. So I will look at it more. Not long back, there were several adult film star actresses found dead in a short period of time. Some of them blamed on suicide, some on overdose. Go back and revisit. So, again, this knowledge, letters and numbers, it's used in so many things, including ritual death. Another song to check out, lyrics that aren't nearly as easily understood. The band Slipknot has a song called Gematria, the Killing Name. And if you missed my work from this summer, you might want to go back and revisit it, the death of the members of Slipknot. If I'm not mistaken, one died at age 38. Go back and double check, but Gematria, English, they both have a numerical value of 38, like death, murder, killing, RIP. 38, special number. So if you look up Jessica James, you'll see she died on 38 numerology and was born on March 8th. All right. In the background, I hear the Gematria hotline buzzing, and I see why that is. It's because I'm a fool, and on YouTube, I put in the wrong phone number for the title, so I'm going to have to fix that. If you are calling on the Gematria hotline, I apologize. The number to call into tonight is 213-233-3998, 213-233-3998, and I'm updating the YouTube title as I speak so that people don't keep calling the wrong number. Apologies. So you want to call early and often. This is a call board, so there is a waiting line. And just as a heads up, if you listened to last week's show, Chris Gio investigated what was going on with the very repetitive glitch, and he found out that it looked like, yes, indeed, we were being hacked. And to use the words that he used, he said, so the call board company wrote me. They said someone was sending API requests to the call board last night. I'm pretty sure it was the hackers. They are disabling the API for us all together. So, yeah, it is real hacking. And this is what it is, to put out the truth in 2019. You know, the big tech companies, they get sick of censoring you and you keep coming back. So they have to get peskier. And anyway, it's just, it's too bad that these people are so cowardly. And for all the cowards out there listening right now, you know, the trolls, the alphabet agencies, why do you do what you do? Don't you have any moral compass or soul or care for the world or wanting to defeat tyranny? Or is it like you guys are the tyrants or the children of the tyrants or the, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what you are. Inexplainable. All right. So another thing that I want to talk about, the reason I titled tonight's show on YouTube about are you going to storm Area 51? You might have heard about this. Went viral earlier this year, beginning of summer. The initial post date was June 27th, 2019. Storm Area 51. They can't stop all of us. And supposedly it was a joke that went viral. What's interesting is from the date that it got out there, June 27th, to the set date to storm Area 51, which is this Friday, September 20th, that is 85 days later. And the word storm with the alphabetic order, just using the alphabetic order, S is the 19th letter, T is the 20th, O is the 15th, R is the 18th. Storm sums to 85. So you're going to storm Area 51 85 days after the announcement. And when I first began this research, again, I just knew 2 ciphers. These days, I primarily work with 4, which are based on the first 2. When I first began, I knew the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z is 26, and the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. So instead of Z being 26 in the second cipher, you take the numerology of 26, 2 plus 6 is 8. So Z, the 26th letter, 2 plus 6 becomes 8. Z is 8. You know, Y, the 25th letter, 2 plus 5 is 7. So Y is 7. X, the 24th letter, is 2 plus 4 is 6. When I first did that, I said, wait a minute, X is 6? I've always wondered why they chose XXX. So it's 666, the number of the beast. That's interesting. And there's a whole lot more to that. You can read my book. Every time somebody reads my book for the first time who just followed me for years, they're like, I thought I didn't need to read the book, but God, I feel like I know way more. Yeah, there's way more stuff in the book that I never talk about in videos. In videos, I just keep things just, where someone who's brand new, which is part of, putting work out on YouTube, you're going to get people who watch you and people who watch you for the first time. I just try to keep it at a level where everyone can digest it. If you're brand new, okay, you can catch on to what I'm saying. At least seemingly that's the way it seems to me. But when I first began using those two ciphers, one of the first things I noticed was federal equals 51 with the alphabetic order, conspiracy equals 51 with the alphabetic order and rules of numerology, and tinfoil hat equals 51. And I thought, a federal conspiracy, Area 51. Is that a coincidence? And of course it's not. It's used in rituals all the time. All the time. And what are the odds that tinfoil hat in that same cipher sums to 51? The stereotype with conspiracy. Oh, you must be one of those tinfoil hat wearers. They're all 51. Area 51. Fast forward to 2019, all these different frequencies and stuff in the world. It's like, how is this really impacting our health? Is there a benefit to wearing aluminum over my head? I did it a long time ago as a joke it was the first time I ever put tinfoil over my head. I did it as a joke to answer the critics of my work. And it was the weirdest experience putting the tinfoil on. It was like, when you put your ear up to the seashell, you hear that nice ocean noise. And with the tinfoil, it's not quite that, but it's this weird stillness. So maybe there's a deeper, darker joke after all. And I know I've said that 100 times before, but it really does make me wonder. So anyway, Storm Area 51. And supposedly the founder of this is Matty Roberts, a name that sums to 50. And if you run Storm with the reverse alphabetic order, it also sums to 50. And who calls themselves Matty? But 2 days before this, one of the top news headlines today is that the Navy confirms the existence of UFOs. So, right before this hyped event, people to come show up to Storm Area 51 to find out what's really going on. 2 days before that, you get this story from the government and the media. Wow, the Navy's really confirming that they've seen UFOs. And today happens to be a date with a life lesson number of 39. UFO sums to 39. So what a day for UFO news, right? Federal 39, the small way. We're just on Federal's 51, big way, 39, small way. So it fits right in. Area 51, Federal 51, 39, 39 date numerology, UFO 39. And when you're just like, sitting back with your eyes open, you're like, this is not an accident. The mainstream media let this event be known about, how people want to storm Area 51. Then 2 days before, you get a confirmation from the government on UFOs. When was the last time we got a story like this? And then I just think about it. Could there be an event? Could we end up reading about some, crazy people who did storm and who were shot? Could this end up being a narrative that we read about this weekend? So just be mindful, though, that the media and government are baiting people to participate in this. And it's not really something that just started with a joke that went viral. It's that they're the controllers, the powers that shouldn't be. They're trying to provoke something. They're trying to create an altercation. And this is what governments do. They always need the problem so they can come through with the solution. And anyway, just wanted to share that. So if you're out there and you were planning on going to this event, I'd be weary. It's kind of like, what was it? The beginning of, I've lost track of time. Was it the year 2016? The beginning of 2016, I believe, when you had the Oregon standoff in the middle of Oregon, a desolate area, especially in the middle of winter. And the story was that a standoff had emerged at a federal building while it was on holiday by some ranchers, by the Bundy camp. And I said to people right away, I said, look at these two stories that are the top news stories right now on the front page of CNN and other news outlets. You have a historic comeback in college football in the Alamo Bowl. Oregon ends up losing 41-47. They had a huge lead. They end up losing with 41 points. And then this is the Alamo Bowl, right? A standoff that lasted 13 days. 41's the 13th prime number. By the way, San Antonio sums to 41. So you have the Alamo Bowl, and it's a front page news story, this historic comeback. There's a story within weeks that Disney's thinking about making a movie about it. It was won by Texas Christian University. Christian equals 47, like the 47 points they won with. Oregon 74, the reflection. But anyway, on the front page, you have this story, the comeback at the Alamo Bowl, and then a standoff in Oregon. It's Oregon that just lost in the Alamo Bowl with 41 points. And I go on the air right away and I say, look at this, you guys. Look at how all of these things sum to 41. The leader, Ammon Bundy, equals 41. He's leading ranchers. Ranchers equals 41. Standoff, 41. I said, how much do you want to bet that this ends 41 days after today? I said it'll either end 13 days after today or 41 days after today. And then I made an argument for 41. I said if it ends 41 days after today, it's going to end on the 42nd day of the year. And, you know, a lot of standoffs in history connect to the number 42, including Waco, which was also in Texas. So within moments of that story, we had that information out there to help people see how the news and sports are scripted together. Yes, even college. Go back and look at the comeback. It's ridiculous. It's even worse than the Patriots' 25-point comeback. Texas Christian University wears 88. There were 88 points, or they wear 88. They wear purple. Purple equals 88. There were 88 points in that game. Just such a perfect script. But anyway, it's just like that. You can see that these stories that are trying to provoke people and get, you know, actual Americans to come out and investigate things or participate in things that really are. So understand what I'm saying real quick. The Oregon standoff, if it was legitimate, that would be honorable to go out there and, you know, participate in standing against this government injustice against the people. Because that's what the event was, you know, sold as through the media. But I know better. I know if the media is promoting something, there's an agenda. The media is the government branch that is the propaganda wing. The government and media are one and the same. This is a fascist nation. Government, corporation, media, they all work together. You know, it's undeniable. You have to be living with a blindfold to not see it. So anyway, I just know that if the media is promoting this, and then it's just as nonsensical as it is, how is a standoff in the middle of Oregon at a closed building going to be breaking news with all the major news outlets, you know, at the time of day that it did? Nobody's even out there, you know? Nobody's out there. There's no way that's going to be the breaking news. And then the front page stories, Alamo Bowl, Oregon, ranchers. And then you learn Gematria and you're like, oh my God, 41. They lose with 41, ranchers 41, Ammon Bundy 41, standoff 41. Look at if this ends 41 days later, 41, the 13th prime, the Alamo 13 days. This is how they do it. They recreate history. So anyway, they were trying to pull Americans into that, to an orchestrated event. And why? It's think about what they're doing. They're creating a surveillance state. They're trying to figure out who's out there that's willing to, you know, fight back and stand up. There's so many different litmus tests they run with this. But they're obviously building a database of people who are enemies of the state. And that's anyone who's truth-seeking and caring about the truth. And, you know, if you get afraid of things like that, that's what cowardice is, to be honest. You know, the reason that they win is because there's too many cowards in the world. Okay? That's the reality of the situation. Most people ultimately are cowardly. And some people would disagree with that. They'd say, like, no, it's because I care about my family and I got family and I got to take about. And it's like, okay, yeah, I get that. But I mean, are you really taking care of your family? I mean, your family depends on the world. Where's the world going? So I understand people's reasoning, but at the same time, things have gotten as bad as they are in 2019 because nobody stood up to fight back. Not enough people. Or the people got duped and fought for the wrong things that further enslaved them, which is what every American soldier has done in the history of this nation. You know, get brainwashed as a child, all the commercials, all the shows, all the education, you know, brainwashing. You learn that military's okay, U.S. military intervention's okay. You know, the nation began with a genocide, but that was manifest destiny. That was about creating the freest nation the world's ever seen, where we go around spreading, you know, freedom with bombs and, you know, bloodshed. And somehow we just accept all that. And we just say, well, freedom isn't free. And they hate us for our freedom. And that's like our political ideology. You know, 3 and 4 word slogans. And Donald Trump, he's really pounding that home for the American people. Guy that speaks in cheap phrases. Con man, car salesman, you know. Did you see him the other day with the Saudi ambassador? He's like, hey, you guys bought some more of our military equipment lately? And the guy goes, yes, we have. And Donald Trump goes, Donald Trump, what did he say? He said, well, what'd you get? And the guy goes, some F-16s. He goes, F-16s, you got good taste. I mean, what kind of even rhetoric and discussion is that? These are supposed to be some high political officials, you know, boasting about some new military expenditures and, ooh, the F-16s, you got taste, like it's a nice suit or a new sports car. I mean, and, you know, and then you got this truth community that thinks Donald Trump's here to save us. Donald Trump, he's fighting the NWO. Donald Trump, who's promoting McDonald's as a diet. Donald Trump's here to save the American people, telling them to eat McDonald's. Yeah. It's amazing. So anyway, I'm just going off the cuff, ranting away. Where was I? Area 51, we covered that, right? If there's anybody out there who is listening, seriously, if this information's all new to you and you're like, what am I listening to? Investigate this knowledge. You will not be disappointed. This information is used every single day to script everything from the sports games to the news headlines to the elections and beyond. Let me see. We got 4 minutes till the break. Rambo's first on hold today. I love it. Rambo, you must have something really great. Rambo, I'm going to save you till after the break because I know you're going to need time to speak. Let's go out to Texas. Texas, you're on.
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing good. Listen, I was doing some research, and on your calculator where it says do the matches on the Gematria calculator,
right?
It doesn't do the math for other, you know, like string equal, you know, values. So like 62, I'm trying to figure out what 62 is equal to. So, is any significance to that number?
The word Mason 62, the word sacrifice is 62. There's a death in the headlines today that has a lot to do with that number. So, a musician.
Ah, interesting. Okay. All right. Anyway, I'm just doing some personal number crunching and putting in some numbers and seeing where they line up. If you do some strange phrases like somebody who like love at first sight and see what it comes up to number wise, or some other thing like I fell in love, it might correspond with a significant feature or something that happened in your life. And I've been doing that. And it's really weird how it matches up with dates or years.
Sure.
So, and I was like, wow, it's very uncanny. Anyway, when I complete some research, I'll run a set of series by you and see what I came up with. Okay.
Sounds
but otherwise,
good.
I just want to keep it short.
All right. Appreciate it. You have a good night.
All right. No problem.
All right. Take care. Yeah, the organic side of the code's interesting. And again, the Kabbalistic belief is that God created the world with letters, numbers, and words. And there definitely is an organic side to this code, which has probably been the most mind-blowing part to me. And, you know, sometimes these words that we're speaking, again, all of this knowledge, you know, it's many things combined. It's Kabbalah, it's Hermeticism. Hermeticism has the law of vibration. Everything carries a vibration and energy. You know, a lot of these words that have synchronicity have the same numerical value. You know, again, the belief is everything carries a vibration, every letter, every number. So perhaps the masters of understanding this knowledge, they're the ones who built this language, and they knew through using this information how to construct a language and, a way to spell and create the numerical value and create the right sounds, all the different components that go into language. It seems that that's the way it is. Again, you have to remember that Hebrew came thousands of years before English, and these things were thought about within Hebrew. So if it was done thousands of years earlier, why couldn't it have been done at the time English was created? Especially when you start to see the overlaps with English and Hebrew. For example, the word Kabbalah is using the Hebrew alphabetic order, the English alphabetic order, they both sum to 38. Many overlaps, many synchronicities between Hebrew and English. The commercial's creeping up on us. When we come back, we're going to start taking your calls the rest of the way. Again, tonight, I'm going to figure out who's really listening and being respectful of the program. If you can ask one really good question, come with one really concise thought, comment, that'll keep the show flowing. And try to limit to your call to a few minutes so we can get through everybody. All right, the commercial should be kicking in. We'll be right back after a quick break. This is Truth Frequency Radio. There are commercials every 30 minutes. Sit tight.
Not only leaves white spot, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate limescale and other water issues like brown staining and bad odors with HydroCare water products, available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable water systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
He was the deputy director of MI6, Britain's most senior diplomat. He was knighted by the Queen and in charge of thousands of highly trained spies. But he was also a member of the paedophile information exchange. He had 45 diaries full of sex fantasies with children. His friend was the private secretary of Margaret Thatcher. He strangled a child and hit another with his car. He raped young boys and organized orgies with children for other politicians.
The Enigma Channel, intelligent television for planet Earth. EnigmaTV.com. You're listening to the True Frequency Radio Network.
No hate, no hype, no fear.
All right, we're back, True Seeker. We got 2.5 hours of show left. We're taking your calls the rest of the way. That commercial for TFR, I haven't heard one quite like that before. I assume they were talking about Jeffrey Epstein, but anyway, that was an intense commercial. Let's see. Let's go out to Rambo. I've never seen him call in first before, so he's obviously got something great for us tonight. How are you, friend?
I'm great. Again, thanks to you sharing your platform with me. This is the highlight of my week every Wednesday.
Hey, when the website's up, are you interested in posting your weekly research there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would appreciate that. All right. Yeah, you got the floor, man.
Also, you were talking about that TFR promo. That was Chris Everard. He has a show on Sunday. He's very knowledgeable. I would recommend people listen to him. I've learned a lot from him.
Okay.
I think he shows on Wednesday. Yeah, Chris Everard. He's very knowledgeable about a lot of things.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to add a few points to some things I talked about last week. Also, I'll talk a little bit about the English Premier League. I know there are a few soccer fans who want to hear some of that. But also want to talk about its synchronicity, some of the synchronicity it has with American sports. Also want to talk about Mercury. Today is Wednesday. Wednesday is named, it's Mercury Day. It's miércoles in Spanish. So I want to talk about Mercury as well. So I'll add a couple of small points to what I was presenting last week about Mookie Betts of the Boston Red Sox, who had a sensational 2018 season, maybe the best single season of any professional athlete. He won the batting title, Silver Slugger Award, Gold Glove Award, MVP, and the World Series. He appears to have been chosen from birth. He was given the middle name Lynn because it starts with the letter L, so that his initials could be MLB, Marcus Lynn Betts. You know, what are the odds of that? You name your kid at birth MLB, and he ends up being having the best season in MLB history. Yeah, sounds like a chosen one to me. He's also related to Meghan Markle, who married into the British royal family. And we know that Illuminati bloodlines only mix with specific bloodlines, which they consider elite or special in some way. So Betts being related to Meghan Markle suggests that he was chosen or selected. There's also the New England connection. He's connected to the British royal family through Meghan Markle. And interesting note about the British royal family, they're not really British. They actually originate from Bavaria, Germany. Their real name is Saxe Coburg Gotha. Yep. Windsor is a acquired name. Chris Everard, who I was talking about, who did the promo, he talks a lot, he goes in depth on that, of the real origins of the British royal family. So the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox played a regular season, not an exhibition game, a regular season 2-game series in London, England this season. The obvious part of the England USA ritual is the New England connection with Boston, but also consider that Queen Elizabeth's parents are the Duke of York and the Duchess of York. So hence New York was chosen as the opponent. Also think York Rite of Freemasonry. I've been talking about 54, how it's been the significant number in current times. 54, the Gematria number of Venus. Venus, the ruling planet of Taurus and Libra. These two zodiacs are dominating at the moment. Mookie Betts is a Libra. Queen Elizabeth is a Taurus. The first game of the London series was on June 29th, 2019. That's 6/29/19. 6 plus 29 plus 19 equals 54 date numerology. The second game saw the Yankees clinch their 54th win of the season. Also, the Boston Red Sox have the same owner as Liverpool Football Club of the English Premier League. That's another connection. That's the Fenway Sports Group. They own both the Boston Red Sox and Liverpool of the English Premier League. Liverpool and Boston are also linked by April 15th tragedies. The 1989 Hillsborough disaster for Liverpool and the 2013 marathon bombing for Boston. Another link is Mookie Betts' birthday of October 7th, which is shared by Liverpool's youth sensation, born and bred in Liverpool, local hero Trent Alexander-Arnold, who was also born on October 7th and a Libra. He's currently the youngest ever player to start 2 consecutive Champions League finals. Champions League is like the Super Bowl of soccer. And at 20 years old, he has the second highest shoe endorsement deal in the Premier League with Under Armour. He is actually eligible to play for the United States national team because one of his grandparents is from New York. And I guess the qualification rule, even if you're not born here or live here, if you have one American grandparent, you can qualify to play for the United States national team. He actually does qualify technically to play for the U.S. team. He's also only the 4th teenager to start for England at a World Cup. And when he made his England debut, his jersey was personally handed to him by the second in line to the British throne, Prince William. Now, how many players have an heir to the British crown personally hand them their jerseys on their national team debut? So, yeah, he appears to be chosen. That's Trent Alexander-Arnold, that's his name, with the same birthday as Mookie Betts, whose teams have the same owner. Yeah, and part of the U.S.-England connection. Also part of this, it's a theme, the U.S.-England theme. Think how British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is born in New York and is a copy of U.S. president. And they're both Geminis, this is part of the Gemini symbol. The symbol for Gemini is twins. And you have Boris and Trump, who kind of look like twins. They're twin images. Also think how Ben Franklin at the time of the Revolutionary War, he was going back and forth from Britain to the United States. If Britain is at war with the United States colonies, why would one of the leaders of the United States colonies be going to London and hobnobbing at cocktail parties with British nobility? That's what happened. So, I mean, how much sense does that make? So I think there's more of a, maybe not as independent as people think. Also, with 54 being the dominant number at the moment, 54 in Roman numerals is LIV. LIV is an abbreviation for Liverpool. Not to go into a big Premier League decode, but after this past weekend of Premier League action, the 5th week of the Premier League season, it appears to already be in the bag for Liverpool. Their closest rival and current back-to-back Premier League champions are Manchester City, with a world all-star team and the highest payroll in the league. And the best offense, statistically, literally they have the best offense in the history of the Premier League. They went up against the team with not only the worst defense this season in the Premier League, but the worst defense decimated by injuries. So they fielded backups to the worst defenders in the league against the holders of all sorts of Premier League scoring records. That other team is Norwich City. The betting wasn't on who would win. It was obviously going to be Manchester City, but by how much they would win. A lot of bettors believe that Manchester City might even score 10 goals in that game. Well, Manchester City lost to Norwich City 3-2 in the most blatant example of a team deliberately throwing a match. You saw one of the best strikers in the world, Sergio Aguero, blatantly duck out of the way of a pass to avoid scoring. And the Manchester City defense literally gave Norwich City their winning goal. It was blatant and shameless. So it's already in the bag for Liverpool. And I mean, anyone thinks the Premier League is not as rigged as American sports, well, it's changing. And you got all the American ownership. You got billionaires from around the world, from the Gulf, from Russia. The Premier League, it's the richest league in soccer history, and they sold their soul in order to become the richest. So again, 54 in Roman numerals is LIV, which is an abbreviation for Liverpool. Also, the word upset in Gematria is 54. In fact, upset has a perfect match with Venus in all four ciphers. That's kind of interesting. So I want to talk about something I talked about last week. We talked about the 9/11 anniversary, and I mentioned how it was a sorcery, it was grand sorcery on the highest level, centered around Mercury. It was actually the destruction of Mercury. Mercury being the ruling planet of the zodiac signs of Gemini and Virgo. The Twin Towers being a giant Gemini sign, and September 11th being a date under the sign of Virgo. In Gematria, Mercury sums to 41. You're bringing up 41 in regards to the Clive Bundy episode. One of the characteristics of Mercury has positive and negative. One of its negative characteristics is Mercury is a trickster. So it's a trickster code, actually, similar to 113. But in Gematria, Mercury sums to 41. The date numerology of the 9/11 ritual was 41 for this reason, because it matched up with Mercury. 9 plus 11 plus 20 plus 01 sums to 41. The reflection of 41 is 14. If you spell out 14, F-O-U-R-T-E-N, it sums to 41. September 11th, 2001 had a life number numerology of 14. Think of how Donald Trump is born on the 14th. And he is a Gemini ruled by Mercury. The Greco-Roman god Hermes / Mercury influences transitions, thresholds, crossings, and borders. Hence, Trump's signature issue is the border wall. That is all about Mercury. In Gematria, crossing sums to 41, like Mercury equals 41. Crossing also sums to 104, the numerological equivalent of 14. Border crossing sums to 86, like Mercury sums to 86. September 11th could be the real birthday of Jesus, not December 25th, which is a winter solstice event, making Jesus a Virgo, ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is the messenger of the gods. Mercury rules over transitions and thresholds, hence the ability to transition from spirit to matter, heaven to earth. The beginning of the age of Pisces is marked by the birth of Jesus Christ. Hence, the Christian symbol of a fish with Jesus written in the middle of the fish. Fish is the symbol of Pisces. So Jesus, who is Mercury, fulfilled the duty of Mercury to oversee the transition period from the end of the age of Aries to the beginning of the age of Pisces. So naturally, where we are now, at the end of the age of Pisces, Mercury should re-manifest. And that is what the Illuminati are trying to prevent with the 9/11 mega ritual. A daily transition period is the end of night to the beginning of day. Mercury, the planet, is actually a morning star. It's a morning star, but it's more distant and not as bright as Venus. So Venus gets most of the credit as a morning star, but Mercury is also a morning star. In the Bible's book of Revelation, chapter 22, and in Gematria, twins sums to 22. Twins, the symbol of Gemini, ruled by Mercury. Revelations 22:16, Jesus says, I am the root and the offspring of David and the bright morning star. Jesus refers to himself as the bright morning star. In Gematria, bright morning star sums to 103, just as Mercury sums to 103. Dawn also sums to 21. September 11th, 2001 has 21 date numerology, 9 plus 11 plus 01. And right now we're at the dawning of a new age, the age of Aquarius. And lastly, on this topic, Mercury, which rules the zodiac of Gemini, the U.S. Open of women's tennis was recently won by Canada's Bianca Andreescu, a Gemini born on June 16th. After her quarterfinal win, her comment was highlighted in the media. It was brought up in the post-match press conference. It was highlighted on ESPN, on the website, and it was titled to an official YouTube video. Her comment was, "Is this real life?" That is the opening line of the song Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. Is this real life? They go on, or is this fantasy? So why would you have her, a Gemini, repeat a line from Queen? Well, who's the front man of Queen? It's Freddie Mercury. This is also at a time when Freddie Mercury is being celebrated with one of the highest grossing movies of all time, Bohemian Rhapsody, whose leading actor won the highest Academy Award, Best Actor. Of course, Freddie Mercury was not born and named Freddie Mercury. He was born Farrokh Bulsara. So why the name Mercury? Farrokh Bulsara was born September 5th, making him a Virgo. And Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So there's a lot of important things to look for in decoding, but birthdays, it's all about birthdays. Birthdays, I think, is the most important element.
I agree. And awesome work again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's it for this week.
All right. Well, impressive as always. Appreciate it. And can't wait till we have your posts up on the site. A lot of people really appreciate your work, including me. So keep it up, friend.
All right. Thanks.
All right, man. You have a good night.
Good night.
All righty. Rambo. He's doing a really remarkable job of connecting the astrology piece call by call. Let's go out to Michigan. Michigan, you're on. Michigan.
Hey, sorry, I was muted and away from the phone.
Okay.
How you doing, Zach?
Doing well. How are you?
Well, I've been better, buddy. First of all, the TFR listen lines are down, and I knew you'd have your call-in line open, so I hurried up and called in to catch the whole show. But I guess I want to share my battle ended today with my electric company. I've been battling since 2012, fighting my smart meter, and they finally got me today. They cut my power at the pole. After I told them they could put the meter on the house, they cut the power off anyway. And so it started in 2012 when I got solar, and they lied to me and told me that my net meter would be an analog meter. And then when they came to put the meter on, they told me there was no such thing as an analog net meter. And I told them they couldn't put it on. And I got in a battle with the guy who heads up the solar department at DTE. His name is John Connor. Remember that guy?
Sure, Terminator.
Yeah. So John Connor and I get in this pissing match, and well, I've been fighting him for 7 years. And then today, after they shut off my power, after I told them, you know, you're forcing me, so I'm going to let you do it. and they shut it off anyway. They wouldn't let us read their badges or tell us their name. They sent three huge men and a huge woman, 2 black ones and 2 white ones. And, they had to be racially diverse. And they sent a giant bucket truck and a bunch of big vehicles. And they didn't even come to my door. They went right to the pole and hooked up a 30-foot pole with a wire cutter on the top of it to cut the wire. And before they did that, my wife and I walked out there and caught them, and they said, "Oh, your gate's locked," and I don't have a lock on my gate. It's chained, but it's not locked, and they know that. They come in every month to read the meter. And anyway, I finally, I try to explain why and what they're doing with these meters, and they don't care. And they said, "We're not going to listen. So you're either going to let us put it on or we're cutting your power off." So I agreed. And then when I met them at the gate, I told them, "You know what? I changed my mind. I'm not letting you in my yard until you show me your badges and I'm taking pictures of them." And then the woman started, reading her badge number. And I said, "I can't see it and I'm not writing it down, and you're going to let me take a picture of it or you're not coming in." And they sent the 2 black folks up, to do the dirty work. And so the guy said, "You can take my picture of my badge, but you can't take a picture of my picture." He put his thumb over it. And I said, "Why?" He said, "Oh, I don't want to be up on the internet." And anyway, we all know why you don't want to be up on the internet. So he did let us take pictures. And then I proceeded to tell him exactly what was wrong with those meters. And he said he didn't want to hear it. I said, "Well, you're coming on my property and you're forcing me to take these meters. Well, you're going to listen to me." And he said, "No, I'm not. I'm cutting your power off." And he cut my power off and left. So my wife called our insurance company because these meters are not UL listed. And she wanted to make sure that the insurance company would, cover us if we had one of these smart meters on the house without a UL listing. So she gets the supervisor from DTE on the phone with the insurance guy, and his name, you ready? Kevin Brewster. So John Connor's wife was Catherine Brewster in the 3rd movie.
Crazy.
So we got John Connor and Kevin Brewster, the leaders of the free world, fighting us with these freaking smart meters. And so my battle was lost today. They put that sucker on my house, and my grandson has been kind of going a little haywire today since that meter's been up on the. He's a little more rambunctious than normal. And I don't know if he's reading us and playing off it, or he's actually feeling them frequencies, but something's definitely going on.
Sure.
So I thought I'd share that. I appreciate you letting me share it, and I wondered what your thoughts were on the John Connor and Kevin Brewster.
Yeah, that's something else. Makes you wonder if they use fake names for their jobs and the work they're doing, but that is interesting. So sorry you're having to go through that, and those are just the signs of the times, I suppose. So,
well, I was the last holdout in my region. 176 homes on my meter reader's route, and I was the only one left that still had an analog meter. And they even got one on his house, he said, and he tried to fight it. But anyway, pardon me. Oh, yes. It says, I guess Michigan got busted, or the DTE is the power company, Detroit Thomas Edison, it stands for. And they got busted for lying about their opt-out meters, saying that they had the radios or the cell phone shut off. It's a cell phone, but they call it a radio. And they got busted doing that. And so somebody mandated, I don't know if it was the state or the Michigan Public Utility Commission, who gives them all their permission to do these evils upon the people. But they had to build a meter, and we have a smart meter education group out here, and they said those meters actually don't have the cell phone in it. And it says in like 2-inch bold black letters across the whole front of the meter, no radios.
Huh.
So I don't know if that's just a propaganda tool to make us believe because we're reading it that it doesn't have any radios, and it probably doesn't have any radios, but it might still have a cell phone. So
Sure.
Anyway, I guess that's all I got tonight. So thanks again, and keep up the good work, brother.
All right, will do. You have a good night. Take care. All right, we got about 30 seconds till the commercial break. When we come back, we're going to these calls in this order: Flint, Michigan; Austin, Texas; Costa Rica; Georgia; New York; Connecticut; San Diego; North Carolina; Colorado; Bellevue, Washington; Bluefield, West Virginia; Cushing, Oklahoma; Trenton, New Jersey; San Francisco, Texas; Tennessee. And quite a list, but again, if we can try to observe that rule of sticking to one question, one thought, get to the point in a couple minutes, it'll help us get through the callers. I'm not rude enough to hang up on you, but again, I said tonight's the test to see how many people can respect that rule. So we'll leave it there. Quick commercial break. We got 2 hours left. Your calls the rest of the way. Thank you for tuning in, as always.
Told reporters in California that the U.S. stands ready for action.
Let me listen what happens. Very fluid. A lot of things can happen. Rough things and not and very, very easy to go in. One phone call, we go in. That's a very easy thing.
The acting director of national intelligence has agreed to testify next week to the House Intelligence Committee. Joseph McGuire had been unwilling to go along with the panel's demand to turn over a secret whistleblower complaint. Congressman Jim Himes said in reality, he can't do that.
This idea that the DNI has the authority to say, no, I disagree with the Inspector General's decision is lawless. It's made up out of whole cloth. He does not have the authority to do that.
The intelligence community's Inspector General is to brief lawmakers tomorrow on what's been called a credible and urgent whistleblower complaint. Bargaining continues between the UAW and GM as the strike against the automaker heads toward day 4. Without a deal struck soon, correspondent Vanessa Yurkovich says the ripple effect of the walkout is just days away.
A week from now, we could see supply chains impacted. That means any businesses that support the auto industry, like tires or parts, are going to start being affected. And we could see people start to be temporarily laid off from those supporting businesses.
President Trump said today his administration is revoking California's authority to set auto mileage standards stricter than those issued by federal regulators. Critics say the action would result in less fuel-efficient cars that create more planet-warming pollution. Trump said his action would result in less expensive, safer cars. And Barbara Cusack.
This is the Truth Frequency Radio Network. TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
Condition orange. Condition orange. Situation Delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
We have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
Time comes when silence is betrayal. More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. Think for yourself. Question 30.
This code has been compromised.
We're back, Truth Seeker. We got 2 hours left. Want to remind people, 2 websites are being built right now. One is the social network for truth seekers to help people organize and find community and find friends. I know that doing this work, from my personal experience and from many of your calls over the years and messages left on blog posts and videos, that probably the hardest thing about being a truth seeker is that so many will reject you for it, and some people end up finding isolated. Case in point, I just had a gentleman staying with me for, the plan was for him to come in town and visit with his other friend, and then his other friend dropped out. And then he was short on money, and he asked if instead of getting a hotel, if he could stay at my place. And I was like, well, we never really met before. Anyway, he's been in contact with me for years and followed the work for a long time. But what happened to him is, from doing this work and spreading it, everyone started to reject and hate on him. So he finds himself as a lonely man in the world these days. And he was planning on visiting me in Philadelphia at the speaking conference that I was supposed to attend. But since I wasn't going there, he asked if he could come out here to meet. And we hung out for a number of days. And it was an interesting experience. But for all the people like him, for all the people who've lost friends for truth seeking, who want to find friends in this community, this is what this website's going to be about. And what was hard about having him out here, I felt bad because there's a lot of work I have to do, and he got to see how much I work. But honestly, I even kind of had to half-ass my work while he was here. I didn't get out as many videos. I didn't have as much time to do on the sports decoding. I had a mediocre weekend in football. It's like you try to juggle too many things at once. It's not a good thing. In life, it's always quality over quantity. But just that experience reminded me, there's a lot of lonely people in the world. There's people who want to be united and have friends and be a part of this community. And that's what this project's supposed to bring about. It's very expensive, and it could get even more expensive. But as long as people continue to be generous, people have been very generous to me the last year. I've had a good past year. I think about a year ago, we were just past the 1-year anniversary of the FBI coming to my door and my lady telling me to shut it all down. And I put out that one last video and said, you guys, if you don't support the book today, I might have to really shut it down. I mean, I've been doing this for over 5 years, and it's got me in a whole lot of trouble, and might have to wrap it up. But that one video got people to respond. And I said to my lady, look at that. Everyone's buying the book tonight. Like I was averaging like 3 book sales a week. I hadn't promoted it all, but after I put out that video, it sold like 100 copies that night. And I thought, wow, the book had been up since March. That was the end of August. And it sold almost as many copies in one night as it had sold in the nearly 6 months leading up to that. And of course, once I put it online, I wasn't making videos at the time. I wasn't doing anything. So I didn't promote it. But that night made all the difference. And then more generous people came around and kept the ship afloat. And my lady saw, well, maybe there are people who are out there willing to support you to do this. So anyway, like I said then, if you guys support this movement, I'll bring the support back and we'll help further the cause, and we'll make smart decisions along the way. And that's where we're at. So the next agenda item, once the website's built and people are getting networked and organized, is to start having some actual public gatherings, go city to city and, see who wants to come out, see who's in the community, see what new friends and relationships can be made. That's what really has to happen. We have to have the network online as well as offline. And that's the goal of the site, to do both, to achieve both. And then with the other site, the other goal is to get people out there who are interested in this movement, to get them a way to help the movement and help themselves. And for example, we've talked about a lot of great products that could exist out there. Memorization cards for young people who want to learn gematria, a numerology calendar with astrological phenomenon. And all of these products, what I'm going to do at the website is put the idea out there and say, hey, I want to promote this product on this website. Who out there can create it? And then have a space for them on the website to sell the product they've created, where they get the majority of the proceeds. And, have to talk to people about what's fair, but I'm thinking something like they take 90% of the proceeds, 10% of the revenue from the item goes to, building the mission further, building the Gematria News Network, etc. And I'm looking into creating some sort of not-for-profit type of entity where all of the collected funds from everything from the website can be transparent and seen. Just like I've been with my Patreon page, I've always left out there how much is coming in and how many people are subscribing, because I want people to see, what's going on. So in the last year from the Patreon page, there has been almost $100,000 in revenue raised. And I'm investing $30,000 in right now to get these websites built. That's about furthering, the cause and helping promote other people. So I'm just imagining, this site, all the things it can do, the community store that could be there in time with people contributing products, raising money for themselves. I want to help people make the transition from wanting to do this and wanting to do this and being able to do this. Because a lot of people would like to do what I'm doing, but they have bills to pay, they have mouths to feed. And the only reason I was able to get in the position I am is because I saved up and worked real hard for a long period of time, where that I had enough saved that if I lived modestly, I could stretch it out at least a few years and do the work that I've done. And I did that for a number of years. When I ran out of everything, I said, well, now I got to raise some money. And that's when I put the book out, which wasn't anything I rushed. I mean, it took me 5 years to write the thing right. And it's nearly 800 pages long. And I charged just $5 for it. But that book sold a little more than 10,000 copies since March of 2018. I'm losing track of time. Yeah. So I guess about a year and a half now, and it sold probably close to, I don't know. I know it's more than 10,000 now, maybe close to 11,000. So you consider, I've gotten about $4 and some cents from each sale after they take away the fees. So, close to $50,000, but under 50,000. That's been, that right there alone is enough to pay for the site. So can invest in this project, and then hopefully in time we can start hiring people, get more content out, more content creators. Rambo, I asked him to put his work on the site. There's other great people I'd love to contribute there. Maybe if we find a way to raise revenue with this site, and understand all of these things are going to be 100% free to use, but of course they will ask if you want to, support and pay $1 a month to help build the movement. Hire people like Rambo, other great callers, Jonathan, Derek, Chigozie, all these types of people, Dan Behrendt, Zenith of the Alpha, and other people. If anyone's name I'm not saying right now, Rich, shout out to Rich out there. I offended Rich the other day because I told him he needs to stop focusing so much on the drama. I feel bad about that because he's going through a health crisis. And today he had surgery. He had to get a kidney removed. So I just found that out before the show too. And actually meant to talk about that at the beginning. So shout out to Rich. Hope you're doing well, man. You got to take care of yourself. And don't feed those trolls, because that stress on your body, that's not good for you either. But Anyway, wanted to put those reminders out there. The sites are coming. It's about building this movement. It's about helping other people get built up from this movement. You know, imagine if for 10 people, this website did for them in the next year what it did for me in the last year, which allowed me to continue with this work and now do something that's going to further the community. And if more people keep getting built up, then we can build the network and the movement as it needs to be done. And it takes resources to do that. The goal to me, the vision to me, is to have a facility where people meet in the morning. You know, we go over what's going on. We discuss what information we want to get out to help wake people up, to help them organize, how to respond. Because that's the other thing that I talk about. I come up with a lot of good ideas, but it's hard to implement everything by yourself. With this information every single day, we need to be working as a team to help get the word out there. And, you know, it could be things as simple as Twitter. You know, there's an important viral story that you can wake people up with. You know, imagine if a network of 100,000 people are helping put that word out on Twitter, on the streams that are already viral. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, 100,000 people are posting about, oh, learn about the code that's going down and how this is done by a ritualistic pattern again and again. And what Big Brother's really up to. You know, few people are saying it, people can shrug it off, but when a lot of people are talking about it and proving it, and it's undeniable as this research is, that's when we can start to get that critical mass. You don't need everybody, but imagine if we had 10% of the US awake to this knowledge. That would make a monumental difference. I'd say right now, you know, maybe at most 1 in 1,000 people have ever heard of this. So a fraction of a percentage. All right, let me get back out to the callers. Talking too much. We got Flint, Michigan up. Flint, thank you for your patience.
I'm just listening.
Just listening? Okay, thank you, Flint. You be safe out there. Let's go out to Austin, Texas. Let me try that again. For some reason, it doesn't seem like it worked. Let's try it one more time. Austin, Texas.
Hello.
Hello.
Is that me?
That's you.
Zach, you're an inspiration. Rambo, you created a monster. He's better than bone. I've always been intuitive all my life, and my brother turned me on to you. I listened, and I'm in tune with what you're feeding. The truth. It's sad that you're being, monitored. We're all being, spied on. It's sad what's happened. We got to fight it. We got to do what we can do. But you keep trucking, man. You're bad to the bone.
Well, I appreciate it, friend, and will do. Absolutely.
That's all I got.
All right. Great to hear your voice. Thank you for the call and the support. You have a good evening.
You too.
All right. Take care. All right. That was Austin, Texas. Appreciate the words. Hope Rambo heard that compliment. Rambo's got a lot of supporters. Let's go out to Costa Rica. Costa Rica?
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, you can hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. How are you doing tonight, my man?
Doing well, thank you.
All right, cool. So a couple things tonight. I wanted to talk about birth chart and astrology because I think it's a useful tool, and you had been talking about the website having different things on it. So I think it kind of helped me to find my way, and I actually became so good at it that I help other people, so I'll interpret their birth charts. So basically, I had mentioned a couple calls before, but it's basically taking a screenshot of the minute you're born. And so it's pretty simple. You have the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, all the planets. They're going to be in a sign. So the moon rules something specific. Mercury rules communication. Rambo talks about it quite a bit. the moon rules your emotions, so that's why the moon is ruled by Cancer. So Venus is gonna rule someone's finances, relationships, romance. Mars is more like willpower, desire, war, so on and so forth. So by looking at someone's birth chart, you can kind of see what they're good at and what they're not good at. So you also, it goes deeper than that. So you have aspects. So what the planetary bodies are in relation with each other. So conjunctions is where the actual sign is at the same degree in the same sign. So that's going to show an aspect of someone that is really going to come out in them. So for example, someone that would have Mercury conjunct Pluto in Scorpio. So how that would look in someone would be Mercury. So how they communicate is conjuncting Pluto, which Pluto is ruled by the occult, death, rebirth, and it's in Scorpio, which is also known for being very deep and very rules the occult as well. So that's someone that's going to be really good at secret societies and things of this nature. And funny enough, George Bush Jr. has that placement. And a quick story about George Bush Jr. He was actually, obviously he went through quite a bit. I heard the story about him that when he was in, I think, Yale, or maybe before, he was, I don't know if he was in the service or where this happened, but there was something happened where a couple of the guys died on a mission, but he was the only one that survived. He was rescued. Something to look into. But the reason that I wanted to talk about this tonight is because I looked up the birth chart of the United States of America. So basically 1776, July 4th, where the stars were. And so Pluto was in Capricorn, and Pluto is now back in Capricorn for the first time. So it takes about 240 years, I'd say. And so it entered in 2008. And obviously we had the financial kind of collapse, stage collapse in fall of that year. And it's going to leave in, get this, 322, so March 22nd, 2023. So 223 again. So this is something really big because throughout history, this Pluto Capricorn, I had talked about it before, is really about complete destruction and rebuilding. So I think that ties in with you and what you're doing, because you know this knowledge is it's a smoking gun. I talked about it before, but there's a couple other things that I wanted to mention as well. Have you heard of the Libra code by any chance?
I have not.
Okay, so basically, clearly a revolution is needed, but so it's definitely a theme. Like it's destined, like it's written in stars. Like it will happen. It is happening. This is an example of it. So everything you do, I want to thank you on that. And basically, the Libra code is it's from 1863. And long story short, I don't want to take too much time. I'll call back next week and talk about it. But it's basically like we already are under martial law. So everyone that thinks that that's how they're doing all of this to us. Like, for example, like we're already enemies of the state and they're already taking us, like the birth certificate, for example. The reason our name is in all caps is because it's this property. They're stealing us at birth, basically. And we're a corporate, we're lost. Like, we're dead, basically pronounced dead off birth, like, because that name is that's why it's in all caps, it's incorporated. So, and that's also why we need licenses to do everything. Do you know what the definition of a license is?
Tell me.
It's permission to do something that would otherwise be illegal. So the reason that we need all these licenses is because we're already under martial law. And basically, the reason, so when they did the Libra code, it suspended, because it was because of war, 1863. They declared war. So basically, the reason we need a license to drive is because they suspended all commerce. So when you walk into like court, you're already, and they call your name off the docket. That's not really you, because it's the all cap name that they're referring to. So basically, how that works is like you're already guilty of fraud because you're using that name and that's not really you. They own that name and you're using it. Does that make sense?
Sure, I understand it's complicated. There's people who've called about this over the years about changing your name and getting it out of the caps and how it can free you from their tyranny. And I know there's a lot of truth to it. So it's something that I still need to figure out and master and explain to people too and verify everything about. But yeah, I have heard about this.
It's not easy to do, and it's actually very difficult, and it's actually very dangerous because you can't just go in there messing with these type of documents. But I wanted to mention it to you because I think it's one way that we could actually get out of this situation we're in, because we're going to need something. And I think the way it ties in with Gematria is that you can show proof that clearly, you know, they're doing these things, they're staging these events, the numbers proves it, and the predictive programming. So maybe like it's an idea for your website, but like you show that evidence and they're like, okay, what's the solution? And then you can start throwing stuff like that out, because I think that's how they're claiming us as slaves, basically. And that's why they act the way they act towards us, why they mock us. And the last thing is basically, and I know you've talked about this too, another solution could be picking a day with certain numerology that has matches in all the ciphers for something positive. So something that we want to manifest. And then basically we just like promote that day and we see what happens as an experiment. Because I think if our consciousness uses the Gematria in a positive way, we could probably foil whatever plans that they're having for that day.
It's very possible, and a lot of people have had a similar thought. So it's something worth investigating. Really great call, great information. Appreciate it, friend. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, have a good night. Take care. All right. A lot of good information from that caller. Costa Rica. Georgia, we got about 4 minutes till the break. You got the floor till then.
Hey, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right, good deal. Yeah, I won't take 4 minutes. I was wondering if you've heard anything about, I guess kind of a confirmation to some people who may not believe in the ritualistic killing of some of these celebrities. Something I kind of dug into in my pursuit of the number 9 in the Saturn connection was a story about Randy Quaid and the Hollywood Star Whackers. Have you heard of this?
I got to look into it. Randy Quaid and the Hollywood Star Hackers?
Star Whackers.
Star Whackers, okay.
He was in the National Lampoon Christmas Vacation movies as Uncle Eddie. And all of a sudden he just started running for his life. Because in his own words, a cabal was after him to kill him because of certain date numerology. And him and his wife ended up living in a Prius in Canada for a long time. And then they got him, and now, you know, he's in with Julian Assange at this point. You'll never hear from him again. But it was just interesting that he was going around saying that they're doing things by the numbers and that his life was destroyed running from this cabal of people who go around killing people who he claimed killed Michael Jackson and several others like Amy Winehouse and all these things, especially when it came to these celebrities in the music industry. It was worth more to kill them for the insurance money because they couldn't cover the tour dates than it was to allow them to do the tour dates, and it matched perfectly with the Gematria. But that's all I had to say. Just wanted to kind of throw that out there.
Yeah, very interesting. I'm gonna look into this. I just pulled the movie up on the screen. Came out 2011 on the 113th day of the year. So yeah, I'm gonna investigate.
Yeah, but interesting stuff, man. And as always, can't wait for the website. And man, lots of love for what you do, brother.
All right, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Take it easy.
All right, take care. Okay. let's see. We got a minute and a half till the break. New York, great callers. Often a duo on hold. I think I'm just going to sit tight up until the break so they don't have to rush. And then we'll get back to your calls if you're on hold. Again, when we come back, if you could keep your call to a couple minutes, it'll help us get through everyone who's waiting patiently. Just running over the baseball games, I got a little smile in the back of my mind because I see the Angels beat the Yankees. That was our long shot upset of the day. Again, using this knowledge, you see the way the numbers line up, and oftentimes you can call the big upsets before they happen. So if you're into sports, that's another big benefit to this knowledge. You learn this knowledge. You see how the games are perfectly scripted by this code day after day. It's undeniable what's being done. And again, the reason that is because this knowledge, it's Kabbalistic. Secret societies such as Freemasonry are largely based in Kabbalah. You know, you got Albert Pike in Washington, D.C., the only Confederate war general with a statue in D.C., holding the text Morals and Dogma, which is considered a very important Masonic text. In that book, he says Masonry owes all thanks to Kabbalah. You look into all the American sports, they're all credited to Freemasons. Masons use this knowledge of letters and numbers. You start to realize, okay, this makes sense. This is why it is this way. This is putting the history and pieces of the puzzle together. So music's kicking in. We'll be right back and taking your calls the rest of the way.
Testimonials just because they want to get the word out because it's worked so well for them. If you're not familiar with iLife, it's a 99% pure CBD oil, but the secret is the synergy between the hemp and the ayahuasca vine, the non-psychoactive component of the ayahuasca tea. We recently received an email from a wife whose husband has Parkinson's. For the first time, he's been able to sleep through the entire night. Another customer reported that they're no longer using NSAIDs because their tennis elbow has been relieved with iLife. The reports have been phenomenal and much more than we ever expected. Everyone should have access to this. That's why if you head on over to iLife.com right now and use coupon code TFR, we'll give you $5 towards your order. And we'll even ship it worldwide. That's iLife.com. AYA-Life.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
It's a great product. And the one thing I like about it the most is that when you open the bottles, you can smell like the scent of the fruits and veggies. It's no genius thing to it. It's really just fruits and veggies, which everyone needs. And you guys kind of put it in a way where you can take it easy and you can get it, and it's natural. And that's what I like about it. You know, I like the product, and I've taken it, and it's definitely made me feel a lot better. You know, I am a healthy person to begin with, but it's definitely good prevention, and it's definitely gives me energy, and I feel like it's a natural thing. I like it. I really do.
For a limited time, use discount code TALK to receive a 50% discount on your first preferred whole health system and have it shipped to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Again, use discount code TALK.
He was the deputy director of MI6, Britain's most senior diplomat. He was knighted by the Queen and in charge of thousands of highly trained spies. But he was also a member of the pedophile information exchange. He had 45 diaries full of sex fantasies with children. His friend was the private secretary of Margaret Thatcher. He strangled a child and hit another with his car. He raped young boys and organized orgies with children for other politicians.
The Enigma Channel, intelligent television for planet Earth. enigmatv.com.
No hate, no hype, no fear. We are TFR, your protection from deception.
All right, we're back, Truth Seeker. I swear when it comes back with the Pink Floyd songs, the music lasts longer than normal. Somebody says they hate the commercials. Well, nobody really likes commercials, but they pay the bills for TFR. No commercials, no TFR, no Wednesday night radio show. So that said, let's get back to the callers. Our great friends from New York have been waiting so patiently. You got the floor, gentlemen.
Anonymous has left the building.
You got that down perfect.
I said that to my girlfriend in bed last night. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. All right, let's go right into it. First, Johnny Stash, Big Stash, he's driving right now. He just tried to call me, but I can't sync in a three-way phone call. I don't know how to do that, so I didn't want to lose the call. Okay. First thing is first. There has been the story about these clothes people, you know what they call them, fashion people, and they're making now T-shirts and sweaters modeled after previous school shootings. Have you seen this?
I did. I made a video about it today.
Okay, I didn't know. I followed it.
No, it's okay.
They're making like they're making a Columbine, etc., this and that, like it's fashion wear, like it's which. My point is, there's on a Masonic checkerboard.
Yep.
And also
exactly
the guys in the back. It's all fake. All these, my opinion, all these things are staged events for agenda. But we already know that. So I just wanted to bring that up for the masses here. The second thing, the most important thing tonight. After last week, talking with Stash about the calculator, you talking about dates. You can do like born dates and death dates and that kind of stuff. So I did it for my mother. Now, my mother, I was very close with. My mother told me on her deathbed that she always felt I was her previous brother. When her mother had a son after she was born, he died in miscarriage. And so that's going to be my name. So when I was born, she named me that name. And she always felt that we were close to this mother and daughter. She felt like, and we had a great relationship. We were like best friends, me and my mother. And so my point is we were very close. So she passed. So after she passed, these numbers, 226, has been following me for years, over 10 years. And it'll be any kind of thing. It could be 622, 626. People that I live with, my friends, my family, whether it's their birthday, their phone number, my boss's number, even the way I live right now, the phone number to the main office has 226 in it. So everything around me, 226 follows me. So I go to the calculator last week, and guess how many months my mother lived on this earth? 622 months and 6 days. So it's 622 both ways. You know what I'm saying? So this is my 226 has been following me my entire life. She was born July 8th, 1963, and died May 14th, 2005, which obviously May 14th connection with Jews and Israel and etc. The Israeli state. You know. So that's okay. That's enough for that. But my point is very interesting how the Gematria. It never stops if you don't stop trying to apply it, but you have to constantly reinvigorate. It's like working out. If you always do the same workout, you're going to start losing the results. So all the people here, nobody here is an idiot. Everyone here, I believe, is on a path of learning real truth, not education, but real truth. But at times we have to change up even our way of thinking to refresh ourselves. Don't think we know everything. I never think I know everything. That's why I always want to listen to other people. And some people are better than others, but my point is, if you get one little piece of information and you apply it to something,
and it changes your whole perspective. And I guess the last thing I want to bring up, I got this book from the 1800s, and this book is all about the history of New York and Long Island. And long story short, it was written in the 1800s, and it talks about going back to the 1600s. And basically, the history of this, first off, they were, by today's standards, it'd be very racist, this book. But long story short, they talked about how there was a coup in the 1700s, 1741, that apparently some slaves at the time tried to burn down New York City, the entire city. And I never even heard about that story. I thought what a great story that was to hear both sides, and how they did it. But it didn't go into full detail. But it said they captured the people that tried to burn down New York City, and they burnt them at the stake on July 18th, 1741, by the, obviously, orders of the king. So my point is but have you ever heard that story in history books?
I haven't. And July 18th stands out in a big way, 187. So I'm going to look that one up.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure maybe they blamed them for it. So I'm sure they could have used, you said them as a patsy. You know what I'm saying, though?
Sure.
And, I don't know. How would they burn down? Should they try to burn down all of New York? How would you do that? At the time, So, and the last thing was this: I received a letter from the VA today, being a disabled veteran, and they said as of September 30th, their rules on privacy are changing. So basically, I read it. It says now the VA will share your information with law enforcement. Now, apparently, only if you committed a crime or committed a violent crime. I wanted to say every veteran's committed a violent crime, but not in this country.
Sure. Right.
What do you call you like a machine gun M16, and what do you think you're gonna do with it?
Sure.
But it's overseas. You know what I'm saying? No, so it's so funny the hypocrisy, But the point is that yes, they just changed us, and now mental health. They could talk to the police, to the VA, if they, whatever. And guess what? Red flag laws out here in New York and everywhere else now. And guess what movie comes out right at the same time as the red flag laws, the VA talking to the police? The Joker. And the Joker movie's all about mental health. And the movie, they actually show him going to psychiatrists, and eventually they run out of funding, and that's why, because he really needed mental health, and he wouldn't have became the Joker and this great terrorist, obviously, everybody was likable. So my point is, I'm telling you, I think big things are going to start happening in that issue. And with these red flag laws, they're going to push. All they have to do is sit outside a gun shop. And every guy that leaves, somebody calls the red flag law. All they got to do is say, oh, this person, I think is scary. And they red flag you. They take the firearms, no knock warrant, knock on your door, and then they'll probably just waste you right there. And if you don't waste you, then a year, and then after a year, you try to get them back, then you probably can't get your old guns back. You have to buy a new gun. But that's if they don't brand you incompetent or brand you, at any of the state or, like I say, or any kind of mental situation, So red flags is to convince you of something you haven't done yet, which I don't even understand how that's possible, but it's legal now.
Indeed, yeah, and it is the direction of things. Your friend was trying to call in. Your friend was trying to call in on the Gematria hotline, so I think he wants to add something onto it. But he just go ahead.
Okay, absolutely. I will submit. I hope you have a great night. And I just wanted to bring that up. The main thing is, like I said, look at that. The 226 has followed me my entire life since my mother died. And the main thing was this: after my daughter was born, at the age of 2 or 3 years old, my daughter found my mother's old gloves right in my glove compartment.
Right.
My mother's driving gloves. And I didn't even tell her they were driving gloves. She put them on. And she's putting them on as a 2 or 3 year old. She looks at me and she goes, "I used to love wearing these gloves when I was your mom." Now, this my daughter told me this at that age. And I texted her after that. I took her to the food store. I said, "Go pick up cereal." And she brought me back Cocoa Puffs. She said, "This was your favorite when you were a kid, right? When I was your mom." So my point is, and like I said, those numbers been following me. I'm not here to convince you about a religion or convince you about reincarnation or whatever you want to think. But my eyes and ears are open and out of the mouth of babes. So it would make the most sense that those numbers follow me, and then my daughter came back 5 years after my mother died. And my daughter is doing everything my mother did. She wants to cut hair. She wants to be a dancer. My mother was a dancer. My mother owned a hair salon. And it's very freaky. And it can scare people. But for me, I find it reassuring And I'm just planning on my next flight. I want to hide some cigars and scotch for my next flight because it'll probably be illegal in the year 2000.
Right.
So I'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right. Appreciate it, friend. Take care.
You got it.
So it's funny. His friend did call in on the Gematria hotline. He's out working right now. He hung up, so I imagine that means he had to go do something. But if he calls back in, we'll let him hop on. Always great callers. Let's go out to Connecticut. Connecticut, you're on. Just had the death of the NASCAR driver this week in Connecticut. All right, maybe Connecticut's just listening. Let's go out to San Diego. San Diego, you're on.
Ian and Zach.
Yeah, you're on.
Brother Paul again. Yeah, Brother Paul again. A lot less beer this time. Sorry about that last week.
Okay.
Two thoughts. Two thoughts. Stand down and reform. And then I don't know if you caught one of those last commercials. My boss actually called right when I started to hear it. It was like the NPR thing. And it was saying something about a whistleblower about this like Iran war or something. Did you catch that?
I missed that.
Okay, y'all want to check that out.
Okay.
That's good stuff. So check this out. The stand down. My point just from last week continued on is the SEALs, the recon, the pilots, everybody, everybody that does their trade is amazing. You know, you do your job, you do it well. But specifically the elites, right? So my point is just like, stand down is like, I'm hoping that there's people in here that could, I got two videos I'm gonna link right now. And then they can show other people, whatever. Here, let me tell you these right here. Write them down, whoever is listening. This was put, my phone's glitching out. All right, anyways. On AE 9/11 Truth, there's one, this sucks, my phone's glitching. It was, okay, it's called, the video's called, People Lie, Facts Don't. That was actually something called Truth something, I don't know. But People Lie, Facts Don't. This is a fire chief that just came on air like 3-4 days ago, right? And he's basically talking about the firefighters' investigation and stuff going on. So that right there, everybody forward that to any of your firefighter brothers, sisters, or police or military. I mean, like, this stuff is moving for real. Like our other brothers said, we're in a revolution. Yes, we are. So that being said, the stand down with his whistleblower and stuff, basically, if these elites, pilots, everybody who's willing to sacrifice their lives to die for their country, for what they believe is right, you can bet that they're willing to die for what is right when what they're being told is wrong, too. So if we just had a bunch of SEALs or whoever, recons, pilots, all of a sudden, like tomorrow or whatever, they see this stuff and go, no, this is bullshit. We've got some attention all of a sudden, don't you think? And from then, the reform is we really got to start putting the pieces together for the new restructuring of our new government, because my thought is actually has been, if they do finally bring out like 9/11, okay, fine, it was an inside job, but we're going to have the UN say, okay, America, bad guys, we're going to have to step in and be your interim government. Nah, we can't let that happen. So we really got to start thinking about the revamping and stuff. And when that day, when it's going to be soon here, that day comes when it's on, on mainstream, you got to bet that it's going to be pretty insane. So that's about it. All right, brother. Love you, everybody. You have a great night, man.
All right. Appreciate it, friend. Thanks for the call. Thanks for the message. You take care.
Too. Bye.
Okie dokie. Let's go out to North Carolina. North Carolina, you're on.
Zach, how's it going? This your buddy Snake. What's going on, buddy?
Doing well, man. Thanks for calling us back. How's the
Hey, man.
how's the album sales?
Man, the album is doing okay for a person without no promotion, really, man. I'm just not getting back started up. Like I said, it's been 15 years, so I'm going. But that shout out you gave me definitely helped. Heck, that same day I sold maybe about 10 albums, maybe about within a half an hour after you put your little post up. So man, that did me a lot of good, and
I'm gonna do it again.
I definitely appreciate that. I wanted everybody.
I'm gonna do it again.
Yeah, I wanted everybody to know too, man. That, yeah, I appreciate that, man. Because what I want everybody to know is that I'm really on the team. So what I plan on trying to bring to the table is some form of entertainment for this stuff, and because people adapt to music, they like music. So I figure there's nobody really putting this information out with good intent. Bad intent, probably a dozen of people putting it out with bad intent, but with this is going to be good intent. But I didn't call, man. I don't like to take your time up to promote my stuff. That's pretty, I'll give you a chance to do that whenever you got a chance. What I was calling was that I've been listening to the callers, man, so I listen a lot. And it was meant for me to listen to you all tonight because some of the topics, you were talking about the Area 51 at first. And when did you come up with this number 41? It was so funny you said this 41 because when I put Roswell in, I got this 41, but what I noticed is it was 40 in Gematria. I mean, in Jewish Gematria. Huh. And when I put UFO in, that's 40. That's 40 in Jewish Gematria as well.
Huh.
And so I was wondering, was there any significance to that? Because I know Roswell, I know that they've been really coming out lately, trying to, admit that they have some UFO sightings now. They even have, this has been on national news. This is, this is not blogs or nothing. This is national news. So I'm wondering if they worried about this awakening that people are starting to become very awake. And I think there's a time that we really have to be careful now because all these secrets is out the bag. And for everybody that's listening in, I can't stand to hear people troll you or people who put these comments up trolling you for one reason is, if you ever heard of any legal term, you don't need eyewitness proof or anything. It's called preponderance of evidence. If these numbers keep popping up and these sequences keep popping up so much, well, you automatically can just assume that this is exactly what's going on. It's called preponderance of evidence, which means it's happening so much that you can go to jail for this. So, say for instance, if they don't have nothing but circumstantial evidence on you, well, if they got a gang of it, then they convict you of it because they know the chances are so minute for it not to be that way. And this is what we got with Gematria. So I think that what you're doing is really awakening people, and more people know about you than I think. I know that this stuff scares a lot of people, so a lot of people don't talk, but I noticed since I put out the album, I've had people call me and they was like, hey man, on your rap work, on this Order Out of Chaos stuff, they love that song. For some reason, I'm getting a positive response from blacks and whites on that one particular song. They love that one particular song, the Order Out of Chaos. And they said, are you talking about the guy Zach from the Gematria thing on YouTube? So that right there lets me know that more people know about you than admit. But at the same time, I think this information scares people because, people are really afraid of the truth, man. And they really get scared because this is a dangerous world we live in. So, I just wanted to say thanks for everything you're doing. And just put my little observation in. It's definitely about the UFOs. Oh, and one more thing about the guy was talking about the reincarnation. It's mighty funny he said that about what his daughter did because I got a lady friend who braids my hair. And she's into the Gematria stuff too, but she's not into, I'm just putting her into it, but she's always been one of the open-minded people.
Sure.
And she said, Snake, would you please look into a birthmark in the middle of your forehead? Because she has a birthmark right in the middle of her forehead. And she's a very cute woman, but she does have a birthmark in the middle of her forehead.
Sure.
And she was just telling me about how she thinks her kid has been here before because she was telling her kid told her when I used to be a grandmother, and she just started rambling on, but she was talking like in past tense. And it was mighty funny that caller had said that. So I figured that it was a good time to call because she actually messaged me earlier today, like, would you please find out what's going on about this thing in the middle of my forehead? So I read up on the birthmarks and everything, and it was actually describing her to the T. So I think it's definitely some organic side of this stuff, and I think this English language is actually casting spells. I think that's why we call it spell, and that's why some of these words are spelt different ways, because I think they're putting out certain frequencies, and we're actually making our own manifestation by almost just talking.
Sure. Yeah.
So that was just my little, that was my input on it for today. And like I said, I appreciate the help on the album. And for anybody that don't know, it's Snake Cristiano, The Collusion, Order Out of Chaos is definitely inspired by that. So trust me, if it wasn't for this man, I would not be doing this, because I was through rapping. That's dead serious. I was through. I hadn't did an album out in 15 years. As a matter of fact, you go on CD Baby. My last album is sitting right next to it. So you click it, it'll tell you 2004. It's been exactly 15 years. So like I said, I appreciate it, man. You got me motivated. And now I can continue a career putting out the message that I really want to put out, man. So I really appreciate that, man. And you opened up my eyes, and like I said, lots of other people's eyes as well.
Well, I really appreciate your call and your thanks and your message. And when the website's built, I'd be happy to sell your album there too. That could be one of the products we have, because people love music, and that's a great way to reach new audiences. So let me know if you're interested in that.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I'm always interested in doing anything to further this cause, because it gives me a new reason. And like I said, one thing I do is I do music. So I know music is a way for me to generate income and me to stay focused on this without me having to worry about running back and forth to work every day. And I got a pretty decent job. I'm not saying that my job is decent, but my job is not fulfilling my need to explain to people, man. So I've always been a leader, man. So it's always good when I run into somebody like you that's a leader also, because it's hard to draw influence from a lot of people who look for me for influence. So when I find somebody that I feel has way more information than me, man, it's just like a blessing. So the $5 I give you on Patreon a month, if you was to raise it up to 10, I wouldn't come off of it, that's for sure. So I really hope that everybody else at least supports this method, man. $5 a month is not a lot of money, man. Like I said, we blow $5 on a million things a month. So like I said, I appreciate you, man, and just please keep up the good work, brother.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it a lot. And I'm gonna rep your album one more time, especially when my main channel's back up, because then you'll get even more sales. I've been suspended in the time your album's been out, but that suspension's almost over. All right, you have a good night, friend. Take care.
You too, buddy.
All right, see you. So yeah, he's a Detroit area rapper, and he called me up one day and said, "Hey, I got inspired by your work. I'm working on an album. Check out my songs." And very talented man. He was rapping for me right through the phone. He didn't even need a beat. And I said, when that album's done, I will be happy to promote it. So did put out a video. I believe I put out the video September 11th, because I think that's what day he released the album, which is symbolic, right? Order Out of Chaos. He's exposing what really went down that day with this knowledge. You know, the Order Out of Chaos agenda. So we got to put it back on him. All right, we got 4 minutes till the break. Bellevue, Washington, you got the floor. Bellevue?
Hey, good evening.
Hey.
Hey, what was the name of that rapper and his album?
Here, are you on the I will post the link in the chat if you're on the YouTube chat.
Okay, I'm not on. Not right now. I can get there real quick though.
You know what? Just when I'm done with the next video, I'll make a quick advertisement for his video again, so everyone can get it. That'll just be the easy way. So because the name's a little bit tricky to write down, and I'll get the information out as soon as tonight's live stream's over.
Awesome, because I love music, and besides my bread business, I got my DJ business for weddings and such. So I'm always looking for music to listen to in the car, because usually the mainstream people like to listen to the same songs all the time, and
Sure.
I'm tired of that.
Yeah.
I'm always looking forward to new music. You know, people are real creative. So anyway, I don't have much I'm working on some decodes right now. I'm looking forward to your website. I'm very excited about that. I am gonna write a couple PDF books. I think 4 of them. I'd love to sell them on your website, and then
awesome.
Help.
Awesome. And that's a done deal. No problem.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking about doing, what I'm thinking we need to do is pool our resources and help people get built up, And I think we need to start our own publishing company, like censorship-free press, and get people reading again. I think that's part of what's wrong with the times too, is nobody's reading anymore. Everyone's just watching screens, and there's a value to reading. So we start putting out like some short informational. You said some short PDFs, but they could be short books too. Just pump out information to fight the cabal and generate revenue while doing so to build the movement. That's what I'm envisioning with these projects. So yeah, your work will be welcome there.
Thank you. Yeah, I look forward to maybe then, obviously I'd like to take some of the proceeds and to help support the website. That's going to cost money to keep going. And then, you know, maybe eventually we can put some audio and video on there so that, because like I do a lot of driving, so I listen to your videos all day long while I'm driving around. And so that kind of, I have to become a good listener. And so I don't have a lot of time to read you can't really read while you're driving all the time. But
sure.
You know, I wanted to bring up something else about back in February. I was DJing a wedding for a friend of mine, and I ran into another guy who used to be a football star, high school football star in my town. And he moved up to Washington from Texas, him and his brother. And, you know, they were well known, and it was big news when they showed up, and they were actually part of the rival.
20 seconds till the commercial break. We got 20 seconds, just so you know, 20 seconds.
All right. Well, I need a little more time than that. So come back to me after the break.
Okay. Okay. Well, I was hoping you could get to the point just because there's so many people on hold.
Okay, I'll just be 2 minutes after the break, I guess. Huh?
Okay. We'll be right back, everybody. And we'll be taking your calls the rest of the way. Right. Sit tight.
Hi, my name is Ella, and I'm 10 years old. I'm one of the millions of children born to parents suffering from the sheeple virus. Symptoms include the inability to think for oneself, the attention span of a goldfish, and a strong belief in government and the mainstream media. It is estimated that 1 out of every 2 children are being raised by parents infected with the sheeple virus. But there is a cure. For as little as 19 cents per day, you can become a TFR supporter and help children like me get their daily dose of truth. Together, we will make sure every child has protection from deception.
Secret complaint, gun deal delays. I'm Barbara Cusack. The acting director of national intelligence has agreed to testify next week to the House Intelligence Committee after he initially resisted the panel's demand to hand over a secret whistleblower complaint. More from correspondent Evan Perez.
We know that this began on August 12th when someone came forward with this concern. We know that the Inspector General looked at it and viewed it as credible and of concern and of urgent concern, that the reason why they wanted to alert the committee. What we don't know is exactly what the nature of it is, and again, why the White House would seek to assert privilege.
At the end of his West Coast swing, President Trump signed his name today on a newly constructed section of the U.S.-Mexico border wall near San Diego. He called it a world-class security system that will be virtually impenetrable. President Trump is now blaming Democratic presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke for gun deal delays in Congress, tweeting this morning, quote, "Dummy Beto made it much harder to make a deal."
Listen, if they had made some progress already, I might buy that argument.
During the most recent Democratic debate, O'Rourke said, "We're going to take away your AR-15, your AK-47 in the wake of recent mass shootings." The Federal Reserve wrapped up its 2-day meeting, lowering the central bank's benchmark interest rate by 0.25 percentage point.
Fed Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said overall, the central bank's outlook for the economy is unchanged, but there are still negative signs in the slowing global economy, principally the ongoing trade war with China and now the uncertainty surrounding Brexit, the UK's exit from the European Union. With that in mind, Powell said,
we decided to lower interest rates. We took this step to help keep the U.S. economy strong.
I'm Steve Kastenbaum.
Southeast Texas deluged by rain from Tropical Depression Imelda that spawned several weak tornadoes in the Baytown area east of Houston this afternoon, damaging some trees and barns and homes as well. I'm Barbara Kusat.
You are now tuned into the Truth Frequency.
TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio. Condition orange. Condition orange. Situation Delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
You have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
Time comes when silence is betrayal. More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them.
Think for yourself. Question time.
This code has been compromised.
We're back, Truth Seeker. We got 1 hour left. We have a lot of people on hold. Again, I've been asking people if they can keep it to one thought, one question, 2-minute call. Last caller, he already went through a topic. He said, can I get 2 more minutes? And I mean, if you listen to the progression of his call, he said, okay, that's about all I got. And he's like, oh yeah, wait, I got another story. And then I said, well, we got 20 seconds on the commercial break. He's like, what? I need more than 20 seconds. It's like, well, come on, man. I appreciate the caller, but you guys, I mean, how come I don't understand why every week my comment falls on deaf ears? This is the problem with the human species. It's like it's just impossible to get people to, and that's why we're ruled over too, because the controllers, they know how to make people follow instructions and obey. But at the same time, it's like in a way, if people aren't mind controlled, it seems like it's impossible for them to. And I'm not saying that mind control is the right thing, but I'm just saying it's like impossible for people to do what's asked of them. The average human being, just an observation I've made. Very simple request every single week. Hey, if you can call in, one idea, one question, 2-minute call. I mean, I say it every week, and it's like everyone just calls in and acts like they never heard it before. It's talking about this and oh yeah, this and oh yeah, that, and it's just like it's almost like a bad joke. It is a bad joke. So when people call in and say, Zach, you want to have a community stuff, it'll never work. People just can't work together. It kind of reminds, I don't want to be a defeatist and believe these things. I want to think it's possible, but in a way, this radio show kind of demonstrates that people they can't follow simple rules. And sometimes you got to have just simple rules to have, agreeable terms. So I'm going to go back out to the caller because he asked for 2 more minutes, but I also would like him to think should you really be asking for 2 more minutes after you already called in and did one idea, one thought? All right, caller, you can finish.
Sorry about that, Zach. All right, so this football player who was a high school star, he went to Washington State University to play football, and we were talking about football, and I said, I love high school football. He said, oh, high school. I said, yeah, because it's authentic competition. He's like, yeah, when I went to college, things were pretty weird. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. That was important to tell the public, I thought, so they understand that, the college football game is weird. So anyway.
All right. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. All right. Next caller, Oklahoma.
Hey, Zach, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Hey, bro. This is Eric, KOS137 on YouTube. Hey, okay, so real quick, I'll try and get it in the 2 minutes. I wanted to touch on the Storm Area 51, whatever you want to call it, propaganda or whatever you want to call it. I actually have some family history with the whole Roswell, Area 51, Groom Lake stuff. My dad was in the Navy. He was a SEAL during Vietnam, and after he got out, he did a lot of work with the government in R&D projects, including like the Super Collider stuff. But anyway, and my grandfather and my grandmother, they raised him in Roswell. He was born in Chicago, but they raised him in Roswell. And my grandmother worked at City Hall when that whole thing happened in '47. So that was pretty, you know, this whole story stuff is real familiar to me. But I'm one of the people that doesn't actually believe in little gray people from other planets and stuff. I just don't believe in that. But I think it's something else, and I believe that it goes all the way back to War of the Worlds, when they tried to, basically they were running experiments on fear propaganda and what it could do, you know, and they found out that it's extremely powerful and that people will believe basically anybody with any kind of voice of authority, they will take that and run with it and go, oh my God, they said it on the radio, it's true, you know, not realizing that that was broadcast during the time of their entertainment. You know, just like today, it's TV. Watch TV for entertainment. You see something on the news, you're like, oh my God, this is real. No, it's still the same boob tube. It's the same device for entertainment. You know, if it's not entertaining, turn it off. That's what I say. Anyway, so Roswell, UFOs, all this stuff. Anybody that follows my channel knows I'm all about the number 11. And I basically just try and point it out how it's basically connected into everything that we've been shown. So I just got some examples real quick. As you know, let's see, Independence Day, that was had a lot to do with aliens, you know, the movie, right? And you already know Independence Day is 128 or 74, and that's 11, obviously. All the words that equal 11, forwards or backwards, also equal 7. So some of these words equal 7, but just know that whoever's listening, also it equals 11 then in the reverse, okay? So we got Independence Day, War of the Worlds, lost word of Freemasonry. Why I include this is because there's a lot of misunderstandings, and as we know, the occult and Masonry teachings are kind of behind a lot of this stuff. I'm not big on the conspiracy side of it, but it is tied in, and Masons absolutely do know about this stuff. But anyway, the real lost word of Freemasonry is actually John. That's why the book of John is all about the word. Kabbalah is also 11.
So is that, hold on.
For Da.
So how did you confirm that the lost word of Freemasonry is John? That makes a lot of sense to me, but how did you confirm that?
I am a Mason, but this is just stuff that you kind of come across if you read a lot of the books that you have access to. And John is actually the true tetragrammaton, or the 4-letter word. Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh is not an actual true tetragrammaton. It's actually a trigrammaton. It's only 3 letters with a repeated hey. So you have Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh. So it's actually, it's a little trick. It's actually only 3 letters. You know, just like, I don't know, my name's a tetragrammaton, Eric, but, and so is your name. Those are actually, you know, Zach is actually 4 letters. But like, I don't know, what else, other names like, that have the double letter in there. Can't really think of any right now, but I know for a fact, Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh is actually a trigrammaton. It's 3 letters with a repeated hey. But anyway, yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But anyway, yeah, John, which is actually my brother's name, my birth brother, it equals 11. Kabbalah is 11. Tree of Life is 11. Abyss, which is another name for the Daf, which a lot of people argue with me and say it's not the 11th Sephiroth, but it doesn't really matter. It's even Manly P. Hall calls it the hypothetical 11th sphere or Sephiroth. And Daf equals 11 as well. November 20th, the day of the storm, whatever, Storm Area 51, that also equals 11. as we know, September 11th is also, it resonates with 7/11. You already know all about the whole 7/11 people we can't talk about, little hat people connection with that whole thing. But 7/11 and September 11 are exactly, they actually are, they resonate together. They resonate on the same wave because Sept equals 7. Same thing with November is actually 9. So 9/11 is also November 11. 7/11. Oh yeah, 7/11 equals 11. September 11th. Oh no, that was the other connection. Okay, September 20th equals 227 or 11. Okay, here's the alien thing again. Grays, that's the alien that everybody thinks is at Area 51. That equals 74, which is 11. UFOs is 47. ET, which is another common, synonym for aliens, is 29 or 11. KXTA is actually the call letters for the airport that's at Area 51. Like all the airports, PDX and all these different ones, they all have letters. KXTA is 11. Nevada is 47, which is 11. The word area itself equals 11, 83. And Groom Lake is 146 in reverse, which is 11. So there you have it.
Very interesting. Appreciate it, friend.
I don't know if that was 2 minutes, but sorry.
It was a little
All right,
longer
bro,
than 2 minutes. It's all right, though. Very interesting. Keep up the good work, friend. You have a good night.
All right.
All right. Take care. And his call reminded me that a couple callers ago, he asked if there was any relevance to 41 because Roswell equals 41, alien equals 41, USA equals 41. I meant to say that. Sometimes they'll ask me a question, but then they keep talking, and then I forget to answer the question, but then it comes back. So anyway, yeah, Roswell, alien, USA, they're all 41. 41's the 13th prime number. There's probably more. I got to think about it. Let's go out to New Jersey.
What's up, dude?
What's up?
So, in New Jersey, they're making a mega mall up north, and I guess that could be like a possible place for a false flag. And did you do a story about the Triple Crown winner, how it was on drugs, the horse?
Oh, you know what? That's a story that I saw come up. I meant to go back and look at what's going on, so I will look into that. Yeah, one of Baffert's horses.
The name of the drug, just do gematria of that. It's like, it starts with the S, and it has like masonry coding, I guess.
Huh.
And apparently the lady from New York, she did an article about the Jewish state of Israel. She's calling it out. That lady Cortez.
Okay.
And also the 9/11 narrative, you know how there's like 4 different instances? You think that could be like tying into the scripture, like 4 different gospels, and like how the 9/11 narrative is presented kind of ties in with Christianity?
I imagine there's a lot of layers there. I imagine there's a lot of layers there. I mean, it was a numerical event. The 4th book.
Layered.
So again, a lot of times I don't know if you guys are asking me rhetorical questions or what. Just so often when people call in, they ask a question, but then they just keep talking. Am I supposed to answer the question?
Yeah, that's a good point, man.
Yeah.
Basically, just last thing on aliens. There's a dude. He did like a cover up, I guess, from the military base in New Jersey. He said it was from February of 1978. They killed an alien. That's really just do the author's name. He said he's writing a book. I don't know when it's coming out. Just do his name in gematria.
Okay, I'll look into it.
All good.
All right.
And apparently, you know the gods of Olympus, do Artemis in gematria.
Okay. All right. Take care, man. See you. And again, that's the point about calling in and making one point. Like when you call in and just start bringing up a whole bunch of random things, it's like, I mean, if you want your point to be heard, if you want to make a point, make a point. Don't call in and skip around to 3, 4 random different topics because no one's going to remember the first thing you brought up. You know what I mean? All right. So Again, my point just being made for me. All right, let's go out to who's next? Let's see. Let's go out to Tennessee.
Hey, what's up, Zach?
What's up, man?
You hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, you know, hear that one caller talk about the 11, and I think he's mentioning aliens too. On July 4th next year, the Golden Gate Bridge turns 1,111 lunar sidereal months old. That's an 1111. And something I mentioned on your sports show is that 9/11 turns 223 lunar months old on Sunday. And that's a one sorrow series. 223, pretty important number. The moon sums to 223. Synagogue of Satan's 223. And the other thing I wanted to mention was the 49ers are going to be playing on Halloween, Thursday night football. It's a pretty symbolic game when you're looking at the astrology because Venus and the moon will be in the Golden Gate. 49ers, you know, San Francisco's home of the Golden Gate Bridge, of course. But Venus will be in the Golden Gate with heliocentric astrology, and the moon, of course, will be with your traditional astrology. And I've been telling you about how 49 is a Venus number because of the magic square of Venus. There's a 7x7 square. And yeah, interesting thing about Halloween is the sun hits 218 that day, 218 degrees, big number. And the 49th day of the year, 218. And Arizona Cardinals is 267 reverse order. That's the location of the Galactic Center, also known as the Golden Gate. And this is a good one. You know, Venus makes a pentagram in the sky, and pentagram and Halloween match in all 4 base ciphers. Pentagram and Halloween. And I guess the last thing would be it's pretty significant about Halloween is that Mercury is going retrograde that day. So, and you know, I see who is it? Rambo. He mentions he's been talking more about the sidereal system of astrology. That's a cusp date. Halloween is. That's when the cusp of Libra and Scorpio. So the sun moves into Scorpio, and sidereal astrology, or you know, how the constellations are divided by the International Astronomical Union, IAU. And yeah, man, that's all I got right there.
All right. Very interesting as always. Appreciate it, Bobby. You have a good night.
All right, you too.
All right, take care. All right, let's go out to San Francisco.
Hi, Zach.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going all right?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
All right, cool. All right, I just got something to say. I think you'd be interested in this. You talk about a lot about Trump, the fall of Berlin Wall, and that matching up with what does that match up with? The fall of Berlin Wall, and let me see. Listening to all these people trying to get online is gonna kind of messing with my head a bit. But yeah. Also, yeah. The day he was president. The day they announced him president, and the fall of Berlin Wall. Well, there's something else that coincides with that. It's a Time website, Time magazine, did an article, but and said that what coincides with that is on that day after World War I, the German emperor after he lost the war, on that day he gave up his position, and the article said that day signified the fall of the old order, and the rate, I guess they didn't say the new order, but they said they signified the fall of the old order. And they're comparing the United States to Germany. They said after for 15 years, Germany was in economic crisis and stuff. and then not until 1933 when Hitler came into power, then things got better. But I thought that was just interesting. On that day, that's the day that also that the Emperor of Germany, he gave up his and so that, I guess that signifies like the New World Order, like the fall of the old order and the New World Order coming about. So that could be like, maybe they're talking about that, and that maybe that's why they picked that date for the Berlin Wall to fall, because they try to coincide that with the German Emperor giving up his Germany, giving up their power.
Sure.
So that's all I got. So
yeah.
Did you know that?
I did not. Yeah, great observations.
Yeah, it's a cool article if you want to look it up. They talk about a lot of things. It's type in a Trump November 9th and Berlin Wall, and you'll find it. But and also the author they picked was his last name was Kaiser. You said they pick authors that coincide with the article, so his last name was Kaiser.
And what was the publication that put out the article?
Time Magazine.
Time Magazine. Okay. Very interesting. Appreciate it, friend.
Yeah. Sure.
All right. Have a good night.
Okay, see you.
All right. Take care.
You too. Bye.
All right. Let's go out to New York City. And before we do, did you guys know that today the CIA turns 72 years old? The CIA, created with the National Security Act. It was enacted September 18th, 1947. That was 133 days after Truman, the 33rd president's birthday. Government equals 133, president 133, White House 133. But with regards to today being the 72-year anniversary of the CIA and the National Security Act, we got a new national security advisor today. He does the middle initial thing like Harry S. Truman. Robert C. O'Brien, and what's the most pure cipher sums to 72 like President Trump. On the 72-year anniversary, you get Robert C. O'Brien, the new head of the NSA. So we'll leave that little interruption there. Go back to the callers. New York City, you got it.
Hey, Zach, what's going on?
What's up, man?
I got 3 points. I'm going to make them quick. The first one is, did you see the latest tweet by Larry Johnson, the former football player?
What's the latest?
The latest one he's talking about Megan Thee Stallion, how she sacrificed her mother for her success. So ever since her mother died, she had blown up. He said, I don't know what day he said that, but I heard that today, this morning.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. We covered that this summer.
Okay. Yep. The next two is, what you think about the Israel election with Benjamin Netanyahu, whatever his name is?
Yeah, it's like, how many elections does this guy got to go through? So I'm keeping an eye on that story. I'll be surprised if King Benjamin comes down, so we'll see.
Okay, the next point. Don't you gotta love how Pompeo and Saudi Arabia try to compare the bombing of the oil fields as their 9/11? Ain't that funny?
So predictable. And this news comes on the anniversary of the establishment of the CIA. And let's not forget, 1968, the 9/11 plan, CIA equals 68. 1968, the year the plan went into motion for 9/11, as we talked about last week.
Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to make those 3 points with you.
All right. Appreciate it, friend. Always a great call. Have a good night.
Okay. All right, good night.
Take care.
All right.
He's always been the perfect caller because he always keeps his call real concise. He normally hits us with 3 good questions, 3 good points, and it's fine because he does it in a concise manner. The points made clear, and he's usually even doing it like on a noisy subway train. But shows you he's got that focus. Let's go out to Philadelphia.
Hey, Zach, what's going on?
What's up, man?
Well, I have a few points to make, and I'll make them quick. First, I wanted to see if you heard of this Senate Bill 168.
168. Got to look it up. I'm on it. What is it?
Okay. Briefly, the Senate Bill 168 is it gives the police the authority to stop people on the street, and instead of asking for ID or identification, they can ask for your birth certificate.
Huh.
And if you don't have your birth certificate, then they can take you in for custody, which leads you to, you can be in custody for minutes, hours, months, even years, to prove that you're a citizen. So it's not supposed to be for the immigrants. It's for the U.S. citizens.
Yeah, I don't carry my birth certificate on me. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, and they know that. I think that they know that most, if not all, people are not going to carry their birth certificate on them.
Right.
Because that's one of the things that they don't want to. Which coincides with the caller that spoke on the birth certificate. Yeah, I knew about the all caps and everything. Looking into law back in the early 2000s.
Right.
And you know you have that's the numbers that's on the back of your birth certificate, which is an account, which makes it a bond, which the bond can be changeable through banks. So now you got to prove that you have this birth certificate. I don't think it's passed yet, but it's in the works.
Okay, sit tight right there. We got the commercial break, and then we'll be right back. Appreciate it. Great information. All right, sit tight, everybody. Quick commercial break. Be back in just a couple minutes.
Night cramps in the hands and feet. Your arms and legs often go to sleep. On short walks, do your legs get aches and pains? Is your memory worse than it used to be? Ankles that swell late in the day? Has your blood pressure increased lately? If you answered yes to even one of these questions, you may have early warning signs of arterial blockages. Your body is saying that it is time to take Extendivite. These are not the normal signs of aging. They are the warning signs of accompanied blocked arteries. Get your Extendivite today. Extendivite is available in capsule or liquid form for just $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To get started, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Hey folks, guess what the #1 phrase that Life Change Tea receives by email? You ready? We love this tea. We love this tea. Time after time, week after week, we love this tea. Life Change Tea gives you more energy, a beautiful cleansing, and fulfills its slogan perfectly. The tea that makes you go. So if you want to be on your health game, log on to getthetea.com and order Life Change Super Strength Tea. Packages come in a 1-month supply, and when you brew this stuff, wait until you see the results. Aren't we all about the results? And with a lot of people's health struggling, we can use a little bit of help. Doctors will tell you disease starts in the gut. So log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Be our next email saying, I love this tea. I love this tea. Get the tea at getthetea.com. Helping America one tea bag at a time.
Travis Cook, America's Evil Genius, here to invite you to join us every Tuesday afternoon here on Truth Frequency Radio. No, on our show, you will not see a bunch of 3-piece suits or a cocktail party. And you certainly won't see a bunch of inside the Beltway band. But you will see eye-gouging, crotch-kicking, no-holds-barred political discussion, the likes of which you won't see anywhere else in media. America's evil genius. We come to you every Tuesday from the outskirts of war-torn St. Louis, Missouri, where there's always a good race rider sex scandal just around the corner. Join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, and noon on the left coast right here on TFRLive.com. America's evil genius, Travis Cook, on TruthFrequencyRadio.com.
Real people, real radio. Wherever you are, make it TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
We're back, Truth Seekers. The final 30 minutes. We're taking your calls the rest of the way. If you haven't signed up for the Patreon page, you're really missing out on great information. You just got to ignore the trolls there. But every day, you pay attention to how these sports games are rigged, you can really get ahead. And a lot of people have who followed this work, taken the time to learn it, use their own mind. Having a beautiful day in baseball right now. Just got to say, 10 games right, 3 wrong. We've been on a real hot streak for quite some time. A lot of really good days going back to late July. So baseball is a tough sport, but you learn this knowledge. You can see through a lot of the rigging. And it's not just that we went 10-3 today. Games aren't quite over yet. Could end up a little bit better, a little bit worse. We'll see. But it's not just that we went 10-3. It's that, you also get games right, like the Angels beating the Yankees, which paid 3-1. And again, I don't think gambling's a great thing, but somehow we got to beat these tyrants at their own game, and a lot of people don't have any resources in the world. You don't have to bet big bucks to win money with this knowledge. You put together a dollar parlay. There's guys on the Patreon page, they bet $1, turn $1 into $200. You get 10 teams together right on the right ticket with some big payouts, $1 becomes $200. And then you bought your next 200 tickets to keep playing the rigged game, and you can keep building your dollars. So anyway, just want to throw that out there because I'm constantly being harassed by the trolls about how horrible I am at picking sports, which couldn't be further from the truth. Called a lot of things correctly in this world, from understanding this knowledge from sports games months and months in advance to news stories to rigged elections. People got to know this information. It's the Cabal Code. Let's go back out to Philadelphia.
Yeah, so basically, this information was sent to me, and I looked a little more into it. I'll let you look into it and see what you bring up from it. 2 more suggestions. Well, one was earlier today, the NFL Network was speaking on Amazon announcing a Amazon video during week 4 of the Packers-Eagles game. So I wanted to see if you heard about that.
I got to look into that story as well. Yeah, I got to look that up.
Yeah, they made sure they advertised that today. So this is supposed to be big, and I find it interesting. The Square and the Compass team and the Symbol of America team is going to be announced during that game.
Sure. Yeah, very curious.
And one last thing. I was listening to your Colin Kaepernick video the other day.
Uh-huh.
And so it just made me think about, I can't get into it now, but it just made me think about maybe doing some work on whoever that is signed under Nike, and doing a decode on maybe try to categorize it. So do it on since it's football season, look up all of the players that are signed under Nike and maybe do a decode on each player, and maybe somehow or another they may be able to answer some codes and some questions and give some answers for the upcoming games.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah, it's a good idea.
And I figure I would start it off, or since you're more inclined on that for me, or you could be able to start it off.
Sure,
but that's all I had.
All right, appreciate it, friend. Great call. Good information.
Yes, sir. You too. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. All right, let's go out to Phoenix, Arizona.
Hey, what up, Zach?
What's up, man?
What's up, everybody out there? Yeah, I was gonna call about something else with astrology, but two callers called in with ideas that I had before. The one guy was talking about setting up, some kind of positive like meditation or something through, Gematria, something where everybody's on the same page, something positive, something good,
right,
to go against, the BS that's out there.
Right.
That's a great idea, for the website. And
sure.
then also the guy that did Snake, the guy that did the music. I have a pretty big background in music. And I called in not last week, the week before, about neuro-linguistic programming. And like they do that same thing with music. Also I forgot to say, that when it like spells, putting spells on you, that's what that is, hypnosis. The same thing, but like if you look on YouTube, they have stuff called binaural beats and isochronic tones. And these are tones that are frequencies that do stuff to your brain. Like they have ones that are the same, vibrating the same frequencies as your chakras, and there's ones that vibrate different chakras, and other ones for like different positive emotions, like confidence, stuff like that. I personally think that they do opposite and negative ones in mainstream music as well as on television. Like if you remember the old TVs that had the glass screen, remember they used to hum?
Sure.
Or like they used to put it on mute, but it would make like a noise.
You could hear it through the whole house if you.
Like,
Yeah.
what was that?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that's anything, but still, that's just. But still, like with music, I 100% think, and you got backmasking where they put stuff in music when they put it backwards, and that has to be done by a mastering engineer. I'm at the school for audio engineering, and a mastering engineer has to have at least 20 years experience to do that mastering.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I think that's an awesome idea to have music on the website too. Like not even just, doesn't even have to be music about gematria. I'd produce music. I could probably make something cool with like, cool tones with positive tones to give people positive vibes and stuff like that. But not even necessarily have to do that. You could just do different music that different people do that doesn't have anything behind it, anything negative, just an alternative for people to put in their brain.
That's a great idea. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For sure, man. Yeah,
I'm all for it.
Like I said, I was going to call about something else, but those people calling about that, so I want to throw that out there.
All right. Appreciate it, friend. Thank you.
All right, Zach. Have a good night. Everybody else have a good night out there.
All right. Take care. Yeah, great idea. Positive vibrations. Let's go out to New York.
Hey, Zach. How's it going, man?
What's up, man?
Hey, I wanted to touch on that, the death of the film, the adult star that just passed, Jessica James.
Right.
I saw your blog post on it.
Right.
Well, I saw some other things that popped out too. And her name sums to 191 in Francis Bacon, and that's the 43rd prime, and she died at 43.
They're reporting that she died at 43. Yes. Yeah, they are.
Yeah. It said in Francis Bacon, it sums her name sums to 191.
43rd prime, right?
43rd prime.
Right.
And she was born. Her name. She was born Jessica Redding. and Jessica Redding sums to 179 in Francis Bacon, and she died on 17/9.
Huh. Perfect.
And it also sums to 127, like, you know, ancient accepted Scottish rite of Freemasonry. Her born name, not her name, you know, now, but when she was born, her, you know, her Jessica Redding, her, you know, when she was born with it. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. That's all I wanted to get in here real quick.
All right.
I just wanted to be straight to the point. So.
Yeah, you did a great job, Michael. Appreciate it, man. You have a good night.
Thank you, Zach.
Right, yeah, take care. All right, let's go out to Austin, Texas.
Hey, Zach, how's it going?
It's going well, thank you.
All right, great. This is Tim Truth. I have a YouTube channel, and I'm a longtime listener. Big shout out to you and all the good people supporting the truth movement financially. I was upset to hear about your suspension on your channel for covering that Joe Rogan interview of Alex Jones, exposing the programming of the masses that truth seekers are insane.
Right.
And it ties in closely to a topic. It ties in with the topic I've been delving into deep these days, called punitive psychology or psychiatry, also called political abuse of psychiatry. It's a major tactic used against dissidents historically, and I see this as a major upcoming barrier to our work that we need to bring awareness to before it gets used against us on a wide scale. And it relates to what you were talking about earlier about how truth-seeking sometimes drives away family and friends. And schizophrenia disorder is so ambiguous that it's up to some indoctrinated academic quack's opinion on whether we're in touch with reality or whether we're delusional. And I remember you saying something about your mother or your sister saying that they were worried you had schizophrenia.
Yeah, it's my sister. My sister.
And it's crazy. I think that's coming through the mainstream.
Of course,
so that
it is.
anything that goes contrary to the
right.
What's that?
I'm saying, of course, it is 100%. It's just like back in the day. I mean, you question things, they send you off to the psych ward. So, yeah.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to finish with here. The historical side of things. Nazi Germany, Soviet Union, China, and the U.S., UK have all retaliated against dissidents this way, many times with forced labor camps, forced mental asylums, forced medication, sterilization, or even execution. In Germany in the 1940s, psychiatry abuse was on an enormous scale. 300,000 individuals were sterilized and 77,000 killed in Germany alone. They sterilized 250,000 people diagnosed with schizophrenia, and it was all the psychiatrists who were doing the government's bidding there. And you may know the Stasi's in East Germany relied on indoctrinated snitches to rat out their own friends, family, and neighbors, similar to what they're pushing in the U.S. with the red flag laws. And in the Soviet Union, they had something called anti-Soviet agitation and, quote, dissemination of fabrications known to be false, which defame the Soviet political and social system, end quote. And this parallels what we're seeing now around the world with regards to fake news laws in Russia, France, Germany, Malaysia, Singapore, and the European Union. Soviet Union actually invented a disorder called sluggish schizophrenia to force medication in asylum time. And it was defined as, quote, if you discuss another subject with him, he is a normal person who is healthy and may be your superior in intelligence, knowledge, and eloquence. But as soon as you mention his favorite subject, his pathological obsessions flare up wildly. So I could see that coming back out, making a recurrence. In the U.S., they did 50,000 orbital lobotomies on schizophrenics in the 40s and 50s, I believe. And you may know that in California, they have involuntary psychiatric holds if the law enforcement official or psychological professional says you need it. And we're seeing extreme risk protection orders being called for. And Trump was quoted as saying, mental illness and hatred pull the trigger, not the gun. We must make sure that those judged to pose a grave risk to public safety do not have access to firearms, and that if they do, those firearms can be taken through rapid due process. That is why I have called for red flag laws, also known as extreme risk protection orders. And he also calls for forced asylum time and forced treatment if they deem us requiring that. And also, just to finish up, I like your idea on selling the videos, PDFs, audio, and music albums and singles, and just bypassing the publishers on that. So if you need any help, I'm a web developer and I can help set up the database and web code if you ever need it. you can just email me at timtruth@protonmail.com. I'd be happy to help.
Okay, really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Keep it up.
All right, yeah, we'll do. Take care. Thank you. Okie dokie. Let's go out to Virginia. Virginia, you got the floor.
Hey, Zach, you got me?
Yeah, you're on.
Hey, brother, how's it going?
It's going well, thank you.
Hey, man, I just wanted to say I appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you. You're welcome.
I wanted to ask you if you've ever heard of a YouTube channel called Weather War 101.
Yeah, he hasn't posted for a while, but he used to do some good work.
Yeah, I've noticed that he hasn't been posting in a long time, but I was unaware if you had ever watched any of his work on the water cooling towers.
I have, yeah.
All right. I don't know if anybody in your chat has done any research into that, but if you watch the Weather Channel, they do their best to try to cover up these huge plumes of water vapor that form over the ocean and come over to the land.
Sure.
And I don't know if you watch the Weather Channel, but
Caller? Caller,
Yes,
you
sir.
still there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm listening to the points you're making. Yeah, it's a good channel. He's done good work. He's missed. But yeah, you're saying what he exposes, the Weather Channel, it's kind of there, but they don't call much attention to it.
Yeah, and I haven't noticed a whole lot of people, even on YouTube, that they do cover the weather warfare. I mean, it's like they kind of acknowledge it, but I think it's a really crucial part to the geoengineering that goes on daily.
Indeed.
A lot of people.
Caller?
Yes, sir.
It's I think your signal dropped out.
Pausing for a second.
Yeah.
But I wanted to just make a mention for anybody in the chat that might be interested in alternative weather sites that you can go and actually watch this weather form, because they will only show you just, a couple frames on the Weather Channel. And it's kind of hard to make out really what's going on.
Right.
So if anyone is interested, you can go to GOES 16 imagery viewer, and you can go to continental U.S. or North America or Caribbean, select your region, select a filter, geocolor, infrared, or water vapor. The water vapor is a really good one. And you can just find these plumes or these huge clouds bubbling up like Weather War had done on his websites. And what you want to do is when you find them, kind of pinpoint them and go to Google Maps, kind of find that area. And 9 times out of 10, you'll find power plants or these giant cooling towers right underneath where these things come up from. And just like you say with your work with Gematria, I mean, it's out there, it's in front of your face, it's visible, it's provable, in my opinion, it's provable every day.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
It's just, to me, it's a big part of, where the water vapor comes from that fuels these monster hurricanes, these monster storms, but if anybody else wants, any kind of confirmation on cloud seeding, you can always go to Google and just type in cloud seeding services.
Yeah.
And there's, at least 5 or 6 different websites of weather modification. They show you pictures of planes with their little nozzles for cloud seeding. And, a lot of people deny it. Oh, that's bull. You can't spray stuff out of planes. I beg to differ.
Yeah.
But that's about all I got. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Appreciate it, friend.
I didn't know if you would cover that weather base.
Yeah, good information. It's been a while, so I appreciate you bringing it up. Thank you so much. You have a good evening.
All right.
All right, take care.
Hey, you have a good.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, New York City. Your turn. New York City, you're on. Maybe New York's just... Oh, there we go. You're on, New York.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
What's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on, Zach?
Thanks for calling.
I'm a new listener, so I'm a new to your site, so I'm just checking you out, man. You're doing good work. I'm really getting enlightened by everything you're doing, so I'm just saying keep it up.
Thank you, friend. Appreciate you listening and tuning in and saying hello. You have a good evening. Be safe out there.
All right.
All right, take care. Let's go out to Texas.
Zach, you there?
Yeah, I'm on.
How's it going? My wife and I, we call in from time to time every Wednesday and whatnot. We just had 3 quick observations we wanted to point out. One was we were thinking about, the announcement of the XFL starting its season in January. I haven't had a chance to run too much numbers behind it, but we thought about basically the aspect of them making the XFL extremely and blatantly fixed, and then basically taking the heat off of the NFL when people like us discuss it or try to disprove it or discredit it. You know what I mean? They'll say, well, that's what the XFL is for, and the NFL is completely sport. I know you don't have too much time, but maybe make a video on that or look up on that, thoughts on that. Secondly, with the Area 51, since that was what the headline was, only thing I really noticed on it was that aliens equals 102, and then the supposed day that they're going to storm Area 51 is leaving 102 days left in the year. And then the most important thing that I wanted to call about was everybody talking about about basically lining up on a day that has Gematria for a positive, outcome and whatnot. So if you have the calculator open real quick, I'm going to give you four phrases or 4 things if you can type them in and just tell me what you pull up.
Okay. I'm ready.
First one is first one, Federal Reserve.
Okay.
Second is Day of Rebellion.
Day of Rebellion. I only got one hand to type with, but I'm trying to keep up here. Okay, next.
Next is Change the World.
Change the World. Okay.
And the final is September 12th.
September, and you're writing out 12th as a word?
Correct.
Okay. You can tell 12th is one of those words that they put some thought into. You start to look at the spelling of 12th, you're like, yeah, why did they spell it that way? It's kind of weird. Okay.
I said the same shit.
Yeah.
Excuse my language. I said the same thing to my wife when we looked it up because I was like, nah, somebody just made that up to make it fit that, particular Gematria. And she was like, looked it up and she's like, no, it's how it's spelled. I was like, why the hell is this? Where does the F come from? She's like, how did you think it was spelled? I thought it was just the TH. I had no idea. It was
it's got that F in there. It's one of those weird words. But yeah, I see the perfect overlap in 4 of the ciphers with all 4, which is interesting. And when I think of September 12th, I think of Andrew Luck, born on September 12th. His birth numerology is 129. But what was your thought about this?
Well, then, I mean, just, that's a potential good day. Obviously, the Federal Reserve is what creates the whole thing that keeps us enslaved in a system.
I see.
You know what I'm saying? And so if we could do something in positive on our side, but negative or something to, against them on that date. Also think about September 12th, the day after September 11th, who benefited the most after September 12th from the Federal Reserve because we went to war. They, started printing all kinds of money. They had the loans and all these people were buying loans for weapons.
True.
And they go to war and funding and rebuilding. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So who profited the most September 12th? Obviously the Federal Reserve.
Right.
Besides the owner of the 9/11 plot and whatnot, but we won't get into all that tonight. So those are our 3 points, man. We just want to keep it quick. Let the rest of the callers get in. So
all right, appreciate it. Keep up the great work. You have a good night.
We'll do so. All right. Yep, take care.
Yeah, we'll have to remember that one. Good idea. Let's go out to New York City. New York? You're on.
Zach, you there?
Yes, yes, I am.
What's up, brother? How's it going, man?
It's going well, thank you.
My first time calling on TFR. Obviously, usually I'm on the sports. Couple quick points. Well, actually, question. Have you heard of who Corey Good is?
Corey Gooden. Not off the top of my head.
No, Corey Good. Corey Good.
Corey Good. Corey Good. I got to look that name up.
Okay. He's okay. So him and David Wilcox. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, that name's familiar.
Okay. So basically, what Corey's stating anyway is that it's a big kind of galactic war going on between the Draconians and the intergalactic kind of like Galaxy Federation, kind of like the movies, entertainment, Star Trek, Guardians of the Galaxy, and so forth. So what's being told anyway, the narrative, if it's true or not, we'll see. But the reason why there's so much disclosure coming out is because the Draconians, the real evil race, are the ones who control the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, and so forth. They're basically their puppet masters. So they're trying to escape this Earth and trying to go into a kind of like another, I want to call it like galaxy per se, and they're not allowed to as of right now. So the talk is that slowly but surely, disclosure will be coming out. Now, they're at wars out there because they don't want too much coming out. They don't want this coming out. So it's kind of like they're trying to meet in the middle. So I was just curious if you heard of the two aforementioned people I just mentioned to you, and B, if maybe perhaps you could run some gematria behind them. Maybe see if they're, potentially telling the truth, something like that,
Sure. I got their presentation up here that you're talking about, so I will look into that. Oh, we're out of show, everybody. Sorry. We're at the end of the show. Be back next week every Wednesday night. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, Truth Seeker.
Regulation is becoming an ever-growing problem in today's modern.
All right, that is the end of the radio broadcast. My sweet lady asked me to wrap it up at 9 tonight. So I am going to wrap it up here, but I'm going to put out a couple more videos. Again, I want to promote that man's album like I said I would. And I also want to do a video about today being the 72-year anniversary of the establishment of the CIA and how we get this new national security advisor with the 72 name on this day. Because again, the CIA came out of the National Security Act. Just further evidence of how ritualistic everything is. And we'll go back to the day Harry S. Truman signed it into being. Wanted to get that video out earlier, but there just weren't enough hours in the day. And again, you guys really should sign up for the Patreon and learn this knowledge we put out every single day. Since I made the last announcement, we got one more correct win in the column. And again, this knowledge can be used for so many beneficial things. Not only are we having a dominant day, getting nearly every game right, but we've got some major upsets right today, too, that paid big bucks. White Sox over Twins, Angels over Yankees, Giants over Red Sox, and more. Somebody's phoning in. Let me take this call right here. Caller?
Hey, Big Zach.
What's up, man?
Stash.
Hey, thanks for calling.
Hey, sorry I missed your call. I won't keep you long. I know you finished your show. I know you've been working like a Dickens. But, yeah, I was just pulling back into town, and I called Big D. He didn't answer the call, and I turned on TFR, and I heard him calling, so I tried to call in, and I messed up by calling the Gematria hotline. But real quick, I was up in Canada, up by where my daughter played volleyball over there, upstate New York, and had a sunrise ride, beautiful, up until Vermont. I took a ferry up to Vermont, all around to New York, right at the border of Canada. Yeah, and I got it back to class by 9 o'clock. Then I buzzed home, and I got to see Johnny, the golf expert, over at the Meadowlands.
Cool.
Put in a couple of shekels. So
Very cool.
hopefully those littles come through that he's been talking about. And great show. And I just wanted to say, hey, keep up the good work, brother. And I'll call next week. I'll let you know what I had to tell you about It was about 9/11, the litmus test.
Perfect. Well, I look forward to that, friend. Thank you so much for phoning in.
All right, brother. Get some rest.
All right, yeah, you too. Take care. It's midnight where he is. It's only 9 o'clock here. So yeah, gonna wrap it up. Gonna come back and post 2 more videos tonight. Again, support that gentleman who got inspired and made the music. And again, when this website is done being built, my idea is to help those of you who are creative, to help you get your work out there, and through your work, help build you up, and also take a small percentage and help build this movement. So I'm thinking, like, if I put your work on the site, which should get traffic, you'll get 90% of the proceeds. 10% will go to the cause, the mission of building, the movement further. Again, the goal is to get people in a network, organized, create a Gematria news network to help, take the presentation to the next level. And hold on, we got another caller here real quick. Caller?
Hi, Zach. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm wonderful. So my name is Courtney. I just had a question for you. I've been in the comments the whole time. I was interested to know if you knew anything about the news anchor Nancy Parker. She was a New Orleans news anchor for Fox 8.
Yes. I covered her death. Her name summed to 54, and her death was in the news while the death of the 54th governor of Louisiana was also in. And there were a few other things. Hold on. Let me pull up my notes real quick on Nancy Parker. I remember they said she crashed in a plane, right?
Yes, and I used to work at the news station, so I totally, I just didn't believe it, when it happened. So I just wanted to know, what you thought of it, information, because I started learning about Gematria when I worked there, and they were, totally, shunned to it pretty much. So I got fired, and I've just been doing research on them pretty much since I've left.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that's what happened to you, but hopefully that all works out for the best. But yeah, her death was August 16th, which was the anniversary of Aretha Franklin's death. It was also the anniversary of Elvis, and a lot of people have died on August 16th. When you look at that date in history, it's the 228th day of the year. And the word death with the alphabetic order just sums to 38, but there's that cipher where you multiply the alphabetic order times 6. So death is 38 times 6, which is 228. So that date's connected to the word death. And this year it was a date with 63 numerology. The name Nancy Parker equals 63. If you run her name with the alphabetic order the other way, it sums to 54, like New Orleans, like Drew Brees. And again, like I said, her death was in the news at the time of the 54th governor of Louisiana. And we've just been documenting the deaths day after day with the people with the 54 connections. All of these deaths coming at the beginning of the football season that will conclude with Super Bowl 54. So that's what stood out to me. I didn't go much further than that. There's probably more there, but yeah, she died on a very suspicious date.
Very. Okay, well, thank you for answering my question, and I appreciate all the hard work you're doing.
All right, well, I hope you're still able to pay the bills. I'm sorry to hear that happened to you, but thank you so much.
No, I'm still able to pay the bills. They're just really shifty people, and I'm still doing investigations on them, what they did to me, and everything else. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I just have a lot more work to do.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your call. You have a good night.
You're welcome.
All right. Take care. Bye. Caller?
Yeah, what's up, Zach?
Hey, man, what's up?
So I just wanted to let you know, man, I really love what you said in the beginning of the show, when you talked about how everything is connected as far as how the control system works, as far as the government and the media and the medical field and the education system all work together.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was right on the point.
Yeah. I know that's how it is.
Yeah, because because today, I was actually thinking about that. I said, because somebody asked me something about doctors and medicine, and I told them that that's all connected to this as well. So pretty much all the institutions work against us.
So I think that was a lot of money. I love that you said that.
Appreciate it. Anything else?
No, man, that was just a lot of money. I really like that because I think that sums it all up. That's what's going on. So.
All right, friend. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the call. You have a good night. All right, take care. Caller?
Hey, Zach, what's going on? It's Keys for Truth.
What's up, Keys for Truth?
I went over some work on the Conception diving boat fire.
Right.
And what I ran across was this happened on Labor Day, which was September 2nd.
Okay.
And there was 120 days left in the year from September 2nd. Okay.
Okay.
They're saying that lithium batteries from cell phones cause the fire. Lithium equals 92, 38. Santa Cruz equals 120. The one boat that they're not showing, they have 3 boats owned by Truth Aquatics. Vision is the name of the boat, equals 88, 74, and 38.
Go figure.
I thought that was pretty interesting. Lithium batteries equals 74. MV Conception, 58. And one last thing. The Saudi Arabia oil refinery attack, I found old footage from an oil refinery in Mexico that happened September 19th, 2012. And that is what they used for part of their video to show America that they were attacked. I did a video on it, and it shows the proof from Mexico. I thought that was pretty interesting, so that's all I got. And I tried to call you earlier, but there was too many people. And I thank you, Zach, for everything you do.
Well, you're welcome. I appreciate your calling the information tonight. Keep up the good research.
Thank you, Zach. Take care, buddy.
All right, yeah, you too. Take care.
Bye.
All right, let me call Rich. Rich is in the chat. I thought Rich would be getting well right now. I heard he had surgery today. Let's see how Rich is doing.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how you feeling?
I'm in severe pain. I feel like my stomach's gone.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. I can imagine.
It's all right. It's what I had to do to get my kidney out and the mass that's on it. So I suppose I'll be hurting maybe in the next day or two. I'll feel better. I'm glad you called, and I wanted to get something straight with you, Zach. And I don't care if it's in front of everybody because half of them saw all the comments anyway. So, the night I called you, the girl didn't call you. Remember, I asked you if the girl could call you because she was upset over the video, correct?
Sure.
Okay. I knew the video wasn't real. I knew this fact that it wasn't real. And I just had to convince her to. Now, she was crying and looks up to you. That's why I made the phone call to you to ask about it. So I wasn't trying to cause problems.
Right, Rich, it's not about that. It's not about that one incident or this girl. It's just that people continue to fall for these crap videos that are made that have no substance. And it's just so irritating. It's like, why are people so believing and trusting in nonsense? You know, why do you don't, Rich, I mean, you've been here I appreciate your loyalty and all that you do, but I mean, from my perspective, I'm just sick of it. I mean, I've been dealing with this for 5 years. And I just get tired of these people because the girl you're talking about, someone who calls all the time, and I talk to her, and I'm there to listen to her, and then what? She watches one video slandering me, and she just believes that in an instant. I mean, it's just like it's pathetic. So,
yeah, well, I think it was because of the jobs on there that fooled her. That was the specific.
which is, I don't even care. I mean, it's just, it's just pathetic. Who cares? It's some report online. It doesn't mean anything. It's just nonsense.
Gotcha.
People are so easily deceived. It's just pathetic. So
I understand why you got frustrated, but it hurt her feelings even more after hearing all
but here's
that.
the other thing. Here's the other thing. It's just like if somebody's gonna fall for it and get off the work, I honestly don't even care. I mean, if that's on them. That's on them, and I didn't want to know about it. And Rich, I know you're in pain right now, but it's like, brother, how many times have you asked me to like participate in an argument with the idiots on Facebook or in the comments?
That.
And I'm just like,
I answered that.
but
I'd like to answer that, bro.
Okay.
Because about 2 or 3 times I've asked you to go out and guerrilla post with me, which is different. The trolls are actually helping us out. We're talking about hundreds or thousands of people seeing our comments of advertising. That's specifically what I've asked you to do.
That's all good too. You do ask to do that, but so many times you're just like caught up in arguing with people. I'm just like, it's not even worth it, man. Just spend your energy on finding the people who care. So
I am caught up in arguing with people, but you gotta understand. First, I don't think it takes a nice person to share this work when you are getting trolled all day long, right? And I get caught up in the arguments because I advertise this work all day long. You see what I'm saying? So that helps get me in those arguments. I acknowledge you're right about it, though. I acknowledge that.
Sure, but like when you're also sharing the video of people slandering me, essentially what you're doing is you're just helping more people have attention on that work too. So you're like,
that's a good point, and I apologize for that. I didn't mean for it to go down like that, but that's a valid point.
yeah, that's probably even how that girl found the video in the first place and got all worked up. So I mean,
you're right about it. Now, just to answer that, and we pretty much covered this, and I appreciate your apology, and I apologize on my behalf too. When I tell you people are like making live streams, I'm really not trying to cause drama. I just thought you'd want to know if somebody's slandering. That's first from my perspective, because I've seen it. I wasn't going to ignore it. You know what I mean? But I understand where that causes problems and can cause problems. I get it. But I just want you to know I'm not trying to cause drama with you. If people are slandering you, some people are going to believe it. So I thought it'd be good for you to know. So, but I can change my approach. I get it.
Sure.
I get it.
Sure. So.
But I've done this stuff every day with you, Zach, and I appreciate you. And I got mad. I did. But here's what I got mad about. I would rather you yell at me on the phone when we were talking to each other, and you gave me no indication that you were mad at me until 5 days later on the air.
No, well, it's not even that I'm mad. I'm just making the point because it's not just you. I'm making the point to everyone. It's like, because it's not just you that's sending me that. It's like everyone's always just sending me all these videos. It's like, I don't care. I do not care. I mean, if you think that video is persuasive, then, that's too bad. But I'm just.
I completely understand that. When you're getting it from all angles all the time, and then you get offended, and then someone don't understand.
And the other thing is Rich, that guy's made 100 videos like this now. Do you think I need to know about the 100th video? And when you sent the comment, honestly, you didn't address it like you realized it was the same guy who's now made his 100th video. You're like, hey, have you seen it?
Yeah, I had no idea. I had no idea. I never watched his channel.
Well, but I mean, that's just what I mean. I mean, most people who followed me for any period of time knows that guy's made a lot of videos about me. So.
I've been following you since November or early 2017, and I've heard of Russian vids, and I think a lot of these guys are the same guy.
Yeah,
you know
they could be. But anyway, I'm just like, my point is just stay out of the drama and just spread the work. And if somebody doesn't like it, then just move on to the next person. I mean, the people who don't like this work are dumb people, and unfortunately, we live in a world full of dumb people. So you're going to come across a lot of them.
You're right, but man, if you've heard some of the things that people say to me, I mean, it really gets under my skin because I mean, I'm advertising the work in different ways here. I'm not just sharing a video. I'm
Right.
going in.
But that's what I'm trying to tell you, Rich. Stop letting it get under your skin. It comes with the territory, and that's what you do. You let it get under your skin, and then your day becomes about like fighting and arguing with this person. Rather than that, just move on and do something. It's like me. I'm always working at putting out the message. I don't want to take an hour out of my day, which I do sometimes, like I did for that video, to address this crap. And so, I mean, you're killing yourself too. You're stressing yourself out. So.
You're right, Zach. I appreciate the insight on that, and you're right about it.
Yeah.
I was not in a good mood. I mean, I got put into a live chat with 12 people that I don't even know telling me vulgar things. Yeah, I won't get into that. You know what I mean? But it's just like when you wake up to that stuff, it tends to put you in a bad mood.
Sure.
But yeah, man, we covered that, and I appreciate it, and I'm over it, and I just wanted you to see. I was more mad you didn't see my perspective.
I do see your perspective. I do see your perspective.
Well, when we were on the phone, you weren't mad or annoyed at me. I'd rather you get mad and annoyed at me in person than like over the air in front of everybody when the whole story's not out. That's all.
It wasn't really just about you, though. I'm making the point to everybody. I'm just.
You're right.
So.
Okay. But yeah, no more kidney, man. It's out.
Well, I'm glad you can still laugh. So that shows you're a tough guy, man. You just had the surgery today, didn't you?
Yeah, about yesterday at 11. It's 12:15 my time. It was probably about 1:30 my time yesterday. So about 12 hours ago, 13 hours ago. It feels like my stomach's in pain. You know, I can't. It's hard to breathe a little bit, and
I believe it, man. I believe it.
Hopefully tomorrow I'll bounce right out of here, though. I'm ready to go home already. I've been in this hospital enough, bro. But I'm going to take up all the time. You know, I appreciate putting this out on the table.
All right, brother. Well, he'll up there and take care of yourself. And sorry you're going through what you're going, but I know it'll get better. So pain will fade.
Yeah, it can only get better. This is what I needed to happen. The kidney's out now. I can find out when I can get on a list. This is huge, really. So it's worth the pain, I guess.
Well, stay strong, man.
Absolutely. And everybody else have a good night, too.
All right. Take care, Rich. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Caller?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. What's up, man? Just wanted to call in just a little bit real quick. I didn't have anything really important to say. I just want to ask you, well, firstly, basically what just occurred right now, I think the guy's name is Rich. I think his heart is in the right place. Obviously, I think he pretty much surmised the situation pretty well. Like, it comes with the territory, and even, you know, me personally, like, I've said it many times over, or a couple times, you know, I was pretty skeptical of your work, and even I can recognize, like, you know, hey, you know, given your situation, that's just how it's going to be. You're going to get trolled. And, you know, and I've always stressed the fact, like, you know, those people if they don't, you know, it's kind of one of those things where some people will be interested in it and some people will not. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like, you know, I guess the best course of action is to move forward with the information and really try to understand what's really going on, because obviously, there's a lot that is not known, or is, you know, there's a lot of BS in the world pretty much. So it's, you know, some people like me personally don't want to listen just to the BS, but yeah, like, I think it's difficult to really, you know, for some people, they get ticked off, and I understand. I mean, I understand even you are under a lot of stress, so, you know, definitely just obviously stay the course, and, you know, hopefully it all works out. But yeah, and I wanted to ask you, what is your opinion about, like, it's a small channel, it's somewhat big, but what do you think about Truth Stream Media? Have you ever heard of them?
Truth Stream Media. I know that channel, but I'd have to go back and review their content. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just want to ask what your opinion was of them, because I think it's pretty much, you touched upon it before, I think it's I don't have such a high opinion of them, but I've pretty much, they used to be, I guess, former employees of that Alex Jones guy, I think, and they, for whatever reason, splintered off and they did their own channel. And there's times where they bring about good information, but I think overall it's pretty much the same regurgitated thing, sort of like, like, hey, we're, they're doing weather modification, or they're they have separate I think one of the more revealing things that they brought about recently was there was a patent for like I think it's like some sort of device that's able to like what is it, like sort of put voices in like through people, like into people's heads, which would kind of explain how some people can hear. I don't necessarily have the pen at hand, but I read some of it, and it's true. Like it's a pen. It's pen in the U.S. So it's very weird to have that reading. Like, hey, how are people able to really project sound into through walls and all that? So that's interesting. But other than that, like I don't think they really have any. I'm pretty much iffy about that channel, and just that whole general class of channels that do that. But yeah, man, I just want to, obviously commend you again. I appreciate like how you're presenting the information. I would have some suggestions about like how maybe you can present the information a little bit more. Cause see, for me personally, with the issue what I had with just in general with your work is like I'm not really a fan of numbers, so I somewhat struggle with like just even understanding. But I mean, I understand, generally speaking, there's a code and there's a pattern that the powers that be, or the current media conglomerates, they follow, that's encoded into the language, and therefore there's a seemingly a pattern where you can essentially predict events, more or less. But I feel like maybe just repeating some of the information that you have out, like certain like certain little tidbits of information, something that's important. Like I think you do a very good job anyways, but I think that would just be a suggestion, like make it a little bit more accessible maybe to the people. Because ultimately those people that don't want to listen at first will eventually come around, I think, for the most part. Obviously there has to be, consistent repetition, because that's generally what they do with the masses anyways, right? They repeat things and until people like believe the crap. Like,
well, I'll tell you what, anybody who wants to hear me be real repetitive, sign up for my daily Patreon where we go over sports, because I teach the numbers really well and very repetitively so people can get in the habit of knowing the prime number relationships and the values of cities. So even if you're not into sports, like if you listen to my sports program, you'll learn, you'll remember the numbers, you'll hear the patterns. And yeah, I try to be really repetitious because that's the only way it's going to get stuck in people's heads. So I do hear what you're saying, and I know for anyone who follows my sports page, they know just how repetitious it is. So
yeah, even I've noticed like even the small videos that I followed in like YouTube, in your channels, like both the Gematria Effect News and Gematria Effect Sports. Like I noticed that they know it's like 33 and 52. Like they constantly repeat themselves. But I just feel like maybe making it's difficult, obviously, right? Because some people just don't care, but just try to make it a little bit more digestible, I guess. There's a lot of things to consider. I mean, it's such a we could talk about for hours just about.
Have you read my book? Have you read my book?
I read part of it.
Okay.
If you get... I haven't read it. So I'm still pretty much, I'm trying to think of all the angles. So. Not to say, I'm not insinuating anything of you, but because I think from what I think you're a sound guy. You don't seem to be shaded at all. Like pretty much kind of take the same approach I have, particularly when talking to people. Like I just kind of say like, hey, this is my opinion. I bring everything. I put my balls on the table, so I can definitely respect that of you because I never once saw you shy away or say. Because see, this is the thing that always annoys me. Kind of like the people that criticize you. Like, why don't they just come out and, all right, if you don't like what I'm saying, bring me to your show and let's talk about it. They never do that. Like that guy retard from Boston.
Exactly.
Never does that. Like
Exactly. 100%. They wouldn't dare debate. Retard from Boston went on a live stream with what sounded like a 12-year-old, and their whole live stream was 3 hours talking about my subject with the 12-year-old asking him questions. And Richie from Boston saying things like, yeah, you know, people making it seem like numbers are a language. He's like, I know that 9 and 11 are important numbers. And then the 12-year-old being like, yeah, Richie, I think you're right. And then Richie's like, yeah. I mean, it was just like, I was like, listen to this, man. Why don't you call into my show and come at me with the only numbers that matter are 9 and 11, and let's see how that goes over. And he already knows better. He already knows better. So, yeah, you're right on, though, man.
Yeah, it's just obviously we can even rant on that little tidbit. Like, it's just so stupid how, okay, because even when in my personal life, right, when people don't like what I say, I'm like, all right, so what don't you like about it? Right away, got me in your face. You don't like this, you don't like that. Like, that's part of the reason why, like, I think it called last couple of weeks ago, maybe. When I tried to call the Michael Savage guy, that radio talk show host, he's somewhat big here in California.
Michael Weiner. Michael Weiner.
Yeah, Michael, aka Michael Weiner. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And originally, the reason why it took me off and I wanted to call him because obviously, you know, like I mentioned before, I am of Mexican descent, right? So there's definitely a lot of unnecessary misinformation on both sides, but a lot of the conservative movement always says, like, you know, certain things about us. Because specifically what the guy was saying was that, you know, he was calling us Aztecs, right? Like, we were, like, there was going to be a resurgence of the Aztec Empire. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? Even if there was people, because he was suggesting that the Mexicans are going to come here, right? Well, insinuating, basically, right? And obviously he has a way of like being he is definitely a Jew, right? Like, I have nothing against Jews, but he is definitely, he words things in such a way where, you know, he's so sneaky about it, right? But basically he was saying that, like, you know, the Mexicans that were coming over here illegally or legally or whatever, or even I think he was even like insinuating all the Latinos, like, you know, from the respective Central and Southern American countries, so like Nicaragua, Panama,
right,
Venezuela, whatever. Like, he was insinuating that if we were to come over and sacrifice people, like, oh, the Aztecs are coming back. They have a lineage of conquistadors. And I called and I was like, and he actually, the thing that annoyed me too was, like, he actually, in the middle of the conversation, like, he parts of like what I said to him on air never aired. Like, I don't know how he did that. I don't know how. Like, I understand there's like a lag time off of, or, you know, there's like everything I say comes out 10 seconds after. But I pretty much told him, like, hey man, don't call us Aztecs. We're Spanish. We're like, you know, the Spanish and Indian, you know, of our lineage. But even then, like, my point was, even if there was a resurgence of the Aztec Empire, which is ridiculous, like, the majority of the country, not even the Mexicans would want to, like, who would want people to be sacrificed in the middle of whatever temple, especially here in the States? Like, are you stupid? Are you literally retarded? And that's the thing that annoys me, because there's actually other older white gentlemen, right, that actually believe this, and they actually believe in the fear mongering, which is so stupid. Like, even, you know, sometimes I take the time out of my day just try to, like, hey man, we're not here to try to kill you, we're not here to try to sacrifice you, we're just trying to live our lives like everybody else.
Yeah, he doesn't even believe anything he's talking about. He's just another fearmonger. After 9/11, his whole show for 10 years was that a dirty bomb's going to go off and a bunch of people are going to die if we don't all give up our rights. Yeah, he's just another part of the cabal. So, Michael Little Wiener. All right, caller. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for standing up for the truth. All right.
Stay safe, man, and good stuff.
All right. Take care, man. Okay. Some people like to talk a lot, but that's good that he called out Michael Weiner. That guy's the worst. He probably never made it past the call screening, honestly. That's probably why he's called in to make the air. But, yeah, Michael Weiner. So, anyway, gonna wrap this thing up. I'm about 30 minutes past when I said I was gonna wrap it up. And I got to upload still 2 videos tonight. So I'm going to do that real quick. And then I got to eat something. And keep you guys posted. Be back for the show next week. Can't wait to announce the launch date of the website. I still don't know myself, but it'll come here sooner than later. Martin, probably 5 p.m. Pacific, maybe 4 p.m. Pacific, somewhere right around there. So I'll see you there tomorrow, Martin. Hope everybody had a great day today. You know, all things considered. And Thanks again for all the support. Next week's show should be on the main channel, Gematria Effect News, but I probably won't do any other videos on that channel besides the call-in show until my strikes are off my channel. So see if that works. All right. Until next time, Truth Seeker.